The City Council for the City of Rollingwood will come to order Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 7 p.m. and we will begin with roll call.
Brooke Brown.
Bill McDuffie.
Sarah Hudson.
Gavin Maskell being quorum present. Thank you, Council, for being here. We will move on to public comment. Do we have anyone wishing to testify on items not on the agenda?
Tom Farrell.
Step right up, Mr. Farrell. Please identify yourself for the record. Not that we need it, but
Tom Farrell, 3223 Park Hills Drive. I'll make this quick. Just wanted to let everybody know that's here that we are hosting a forum for the Eanes School Board candidates April 21st at 6 o'clock here in Rollingwood. So we would like to encourage everybody to show up, and the candidates are supposed to all be here, and we'll be asked a couple questions and give you an opportunity to meet them and see them. So thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
thank you, Tom. And thank you, as always, for putting that together on behalf of the community. Lindsay Christopher. Welcome, Mr. Christopher. Just identify yourself for the record.
Okay. My name is Lindsay Christopher. Good evening. Thank you so much for your time tonight and giving us the opportunity to come here and speak with you. As stated, my name's Lindsay. I'm the owner of 2607 Stratford Drive. With me is my neighbor Jennifer, who owns 2609 Stratford. We understand that our properties may be discussed later this evening, so we wanted to come in person and share a little more context from our perspective. Both our properties have driveway access to the cul-de-sac on Almerian Place, and that access has been there for over 30 years. It's always functioned that way as a driveway where the owners have pulled in and out. So when limestone blocks were placed in front of our driveways last month, it came as a surprise to us. Last year, there was a complaint from a neighbor on the cul-de-sac regarding construction activity at our property because we are building a new home. We came and met with the city manager in November. At that time, we were told that if we stopped using the Almerian driveway access for construction traffic, that would resolve the concern of the neighbors in the area. We took that very seriously. After that meeting, we spent $30,000 to build a ramp on the Stratford side of the property so construction vehicles would not need to access through the Almerian way. We also installed a locked fence on the Almerian side. Since then, I believe there has only been one single instance where a construction vehicle attempted to use that access, and the reason they did was because there was an issue with like a gas line on Stratford Road, and they actually blocked off like all access to even getting to our house at that time. So last month, the limestone blocks appeared without any notice to us, and that's when we learned that City Council had made that decision during a February meeting. When we listened to that meeting, we heard concerns about the possibility of these properties becoming a through street. And I just wanted to be really clear that that is absolutely not what we are doing. We're both building single family homes, and the driveway on Almerian is in the exact same location and it's always been for over 30 years. It will continue to be used exactly as it always has, simply for that one access to that one home, and no one else. We also are adding a private gate, which the home previously did not have, which obviously would provide even less possibility that a FedEx driver or someone could drive through. So aside from that, we said we don't want to use that driveway for any construction vehicles. We made a significant investment to avoid that. All we simply ask is that once the construction is complete, that the barricades be removed so the owners of both properties can use the driveway the same way every past owner has. And like we said, if it makes you feel more comfortable to keep those barricades there while we're doing construction, we respect and honor that. But once construction is complete and our gates are up and, you know, we're living in the home, we just ask that the barricades obviously come down. So we appreciate all of your time and thought, and, you know, we obviously want to hear how you would like us to move forward. And if you have any other questions and concerns, please let us know.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. It's
And I
not
just-
posted. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah,
Identify
I just
yourself.
wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Walker. I'm the owner of 2609 Stratford, and we have the same intentions. We have not started building, but our builder is fully aware to only enter through Stratford Drive, and ours has had a gate. We'll continue to have a gate as long as we can have access to the cove. And again, it's just our family of four, and we will be the only people. We do not want anyone driving through the property either. So I hope that answers all questions, and just letting you know that we agree with everything that the Garrett family, Christopher family has said. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for being here. It's not posted for on the regular agenda, so we can't converse with you, but thank you for being here.
Hi, Shanti Jayakumar, 3309 Park Hills Drive.
Welcome.
Very unusual thing I want to make comment on.
Okay.
I have my granddaughter here, who's here. She's a sixth grader, coincidentally at Hill Country Middle School, who we are going to honor tonight with a resolution on their 50th celebration. But her name is Liana Amancharla. She's 11 years old, lives with her parents and her older sister at Wallace Drive. And she is here to earn her Scout Merit Badge on citizenship in the community. So she's going to be observing, and I'm just so proud to have her here to observe, and maybe someday down the line, you know, she could be on the council.
That's right.
That's me.
That's right.
Thank you.
Well, she has a long history of family members who have served the community well. So welcome. Glad you're here. We'll try to keep it entertaining for you, but don't hold us to that. All right. Anyone else wishing to testify on items not on the agenda? All right. Thank you, council. Moving off of public comment, we'll move on to presentations. Agenda item number 2, presentation and discussion on the quarterly investment report for the second quarter.
Thank you, Mayor. The city of Rollingwood still asks only their investment with TexPool. Right now, at the end of the second quarter, we had the city had invested over $807,000 with TexPool, and that is divided between 3 funds: the water fund, wastewater fund, and the general fund. Interest received year to date as of the end of the second quarter is $15,289. And the average yield has been steady. It's about 3.6, 3.7%. And it has not really trended much either way, up or down. So it's rather stable.
Great.
Any questions?
Any questions for Abel?
Did you say 807 or 870?
No, 807, 819.31. That's at the end of the second quarter. And that's inclusive of interest.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Abel.
you, Abel.
And please let the record reflect, Mr. Glasheen is now on the dais.
5 minutes ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking down. Well, I still need to reflect it. Okay, thank you. With that, we'll move off agenda item number 2 onto agenda item number 3, presentation and discussion of the budget review for the second quarter. Abel?
Thank you, Mayor. Some of the items I'd like to point out to the council is our property taxes are about 98% collected, which is rather normal for us. And the sales taxes, the other revenue, some of the big revenue items, they have exceeded the 50% budget amount for the end of the middle of the year. So we're doing very well there. And the general fund, well, let me back up. Also on the the wastewater revenues, they're at about 54% of what we had estimated for the year. So being that we're at 50% of the fiscal year, we're doing okay. And water sales on the revenue side, they also are at 58% of what we had budgeted for. So we're doing well there. Overall, the general fund has received 70% of its revenues that we budgeted, but be mindful that also includes the property taxes, which have been 98% collected. So we won't collect much from here on out. The water fund overall, their revenue is at 58%, but expenditures are only at 38% of what we had budgeted for the year. So, and wastewater fund, the revenues are at 54% of what we had budgeted for the year, and expenditures are at 43%. And so there's nothing that is extraordinary in terms of the council needs to be aware of regarding the fiscal affairs of the city of Rolling Wood.
Great.
Any questions?
Any questions for Abel? All right, Abel, thank you as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Don't go far. With that, we'll move on to agenda item number 4. Presentation and discussion regarding Finance Director Abel Campos and his more than 20 years of service to the city of Rolling Wood. And I'll just start off by saying this is such an we were speechless, and it took us a whole year to put together this presentation for Abel. He technically has 21 years of service, but we were in a little bit of a transition with our city administrator position, and it slipped through the cracks. But we did not want it to go unnoted and unnoticed, and so I want to just say a few words and point out that Abel began his service with the city of Rolling Wood on February 11th of 2005. Before that, he brought with him 33 years of experience in public education finance and a strong dedication to public service. He is if you don't know, he's a proud fan of Texas A&M. He spent 21 years serving the city with exceptional commitment and professionalism. His role has been instrumental in managing our day-to-day accounting, our payroll, banking, accounts payable, and he is a vital part of our annual budgeting process. We couldn't do it without Abel. He has a level of dedication that is unmatched by so many people. He is always has a smile and a dry sense of humor that we always appreciate. And he has great expertise and an unwavering commitment to excellence in our Rolling Wood community, and we want to just thank him for his service and for his keeping us all honest on our Monday staff meetings, and he's a real treasure to the city of Rolling Wood. If you give him a round of applause.
Oh, of course. Couldn't miss that. Wait. Okay, just making sure. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Abel. Come on, let me just get you.
Get me out of that picture.
Yeah, we set up tomorrow time. I've already logged it.
Fair. Okay, moving off of agenda item number 4 on to agenda item number 5. Presentation and discussion regarding Police Chief Crystal Munoz on her 20 years of service to the city of Rolling Wood. I'll just say that Chief Munoz began her service with the city of Rolling Wood on April 26th of 2006. And she has started out as a reserve officer for Rolling Wood. Over the years, she has advanced through the ranks, and she's truly seen all aspects, all facets of our department, starting off as an officer, then a sergeant, lieutenant, assistant chief, then interim chief, before ultimately being appointed chief of police here for Rolling Wood. Her 20 years of service reflect her strong leadership, innovation, and dedication to excellence. As you know, Council, she has done many things to modernize our department. She continues to do that in an innovative way, looking for new ways to improve our service from our police department. Her latest efforts around the cadet sponsorship and trying to fully fill our positions in the police department. She serves as the secretary of the Capital Area Law Enforcement Executives Association. And you may not know, but she has earned her Master Police Officer license, which is the highest level in Texas, as well as her FBI LEEDA Trilogy Award. So she has great experience and continues in her pursuits in her career, and we're so fortunate to have her and the good work that she does for the police department. Please give her a round of applause.
You may.
Set up, here's, we got the lemons over there, that'll be later.
No, be there, be there. Oh, sorry. Okay, come.
You guys look great.
Just in case.
And then just.
Yeah, just.
Appreciate y'all's support as well. Watching this community grow in 20 years has been quite interesting. I'll say that. And I think watching ACL as well grow. So, but like I said, it's been a pleasure to serve you guys for 20 years.
Well, we appreciate
Turn
you.
around, turn around.
saying
She can get one of you. Take one. Let her finish. Yeah. Okay. I want to show you something. While I was digging, I found this.
About 15 years.
Did we forget to give that to you?
Yeah. Old news. That's old news.
What I find in my books.
I know. I was like, I thought you found my first picture.
I wish.
That just means Shanti has a file on you.
I know.
I do.
And there are treats for everyone too.
Oh, yes.
So if you
Excellent.
make your way up to the
Excellent.
box of
Come and go
Buttlets.
treats. They're at the back table, so
Party time.
please enjoy some of those throughout the evening. Okay, with that, we will move off agenda item number 5 and on to the consent agenda. I'm happy to take a motion.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
You have a motion by Ms. Hudson to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
second.
You have a motion by Ms. Hudson, a second by Ms. Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. There being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. Regular agenda. If we move on to the regular agenda, agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action on approving the resolution for the 50th anniversary of Hill Country Middle School. I did not go to Hill Country Middle School, but my son did. I didn't realize until recently that it was their 50th anniversary. So for those of us who have, or for those of you who have been around a little bit longer in the community, I know you've seen that fine campus grow in myriad of ways over the last several years, certainly 50 years. But we were asked, they're going to be doing a series of celebrations in honor of that 50th anniversary, and so we were asked to pass this, and I was more than happy to bring it to you for your consideration and passage tonight. Happy to take a motion.
Move approval of the resolution honoring the Hill Country Middle School on its 50th anniversary.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Ms. Hudson. Further discussion?
Tyson?
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council. We will put this in nice parchment form for them and get it to the ESD for their celebrations. Moving on to agenda item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding the process for consideration of any future action for amendment of Chapter 107 related to playhouses and playscapes. This is Ms. Brown's agenda item. Recognize Ms. Brown for her agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, you'll recognize this topic from previous times it's come before this body. This proposed agenda item would allow this topic to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for further discussion and possible adoption, or possible adoption of a recommendation, and would then come back to us. This follows the concerns stated in the by the council the last time we addressed this. It attempts to make the it uses the definition of playhouse that was proposed by Planning and Zoning Commission, and then adds to it a definition for an exempt children's playhouse, which would define the size and type of playhouse that would not require a permit, and does so through the definitions exempt children's playhouses from the definition of accessory building, which seemed to be the concern expressed by the council at the last meeting. And it also removes playscapes from the definition of exempt children's playhouse. So the action that's being requested today is that
Stream on forbidding the.
Hey, Rhett, you might want to mute your microphone.
Hey, Rhett, gotta get you to mute.
I had no idea.
That's okay, but welcome. And now mute. All right, thank you, Rhett.
the action being requested is to get the sense of the council on whether to renew the effort to define exempt playhouses that would not require a permit as an accessory building, and if so, then to send this proposal to the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a draft that Councilmember Hudson and I developed. It's not gone to the Planning and Zoning Commission or been looked at by them, so that's what agenda item is.
Okay, and happy to take a motion. So then is your, assuming you're going to make a motion, will the motion be to send this draft that's in the packet to Planning and Zoning for consideration?
Yes.
Okay, happy to take that motion.
So moved.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown to send the language as attached to the packet to Planning and Zoning for review. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Mr. McDuffie. Is there further discussion?
I would comment on it.
Sure.
I'm just going to express the same concern I expressed before, that I think once we go down that rabbit hole of trying to define playhouses and playscapes, that it's unnecessary in my opinion, and I would be in favor of an amendment to the existing ordinance that simply states playhouses and playscapes are not accessory buildings subject to the code, and leave it at that. And then just let administration use common sense to apply that to whatever situation arises.
Okay. Further questions, comments, council? Happy to take any testimony. If anyone would like to testify, sure, come on up. Please identify yourself.
Hi, Ronald Hasso, 2810 Pickwick Lane. Feels a little bit like Groundhog Day, being here, doing this one more time. This has been going on for 18 months, this anti-playhouse agenda crusade. This is Sarah and Brooke proposing an ordinance that limits playhouses to 8 feet tall. I drove around the neighborhood, none of the playhouses, if you go to the one nearby, none of them are below 8 feet tall. So basically you're just banning playhouses except for little kids. And you're stopping older kids from being able to stay kids for longer. You're taking away joy from families. Also, you're embarrassing our city. This is an embarrassment that we're wasting time and resources on this over and over again. It hurts the credibility of the council that does actually important things. This is not important, and this is not something that we should be focusing our efforts on. I'm strongly against this, and I don't think this should go back to Planning and Zoning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here. Okay, any other questions, comments? And this would go to the next planning and zoning meeting, like next month, is that right? Okay.
Yes.
And the date of that is when? On May the 6th. Okay, so this would be on the May 6th planning and zoning meeting. Okay, so you have a motion, you have a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
Being 4 ayes, 1 nay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Moving off agenda item number 9, onto agenda item number 10. Discussion and possible action regarding the Mopac South expansion project. Thank you, council. Give me one moment. I don't have all my paperwork. Okay. Thank you, council, for giving your time last night. I very much appreciate all of the, I appreciated the mayor of Westlake Hills attending our work session on this topic yesterday evening, as well as the Chamber of Commerce. For those who were not here, we had a good turnout, including Westlake Hills, including the Chamber, including the County Commissioner, and our task force as well. A number of our task force members, including Tom Farrell, were here to dig into this issue. No decisions were made at that meeting. It was a work session. For the record, for those who weren't here yesterday evening, we do have very large maps of this project that we have here available for review. If anyone in the community, or if you're talking to folks in the community who want to see visual depictions of that, we have some very large maps that we can roll out for you here in the council chambers. In addition to that, we also have a visual depiction of the possible rework of the intersection that's not in the published CTRMA documents, but it is on the table for discussion to possibly be included either as a side project or in the project itself. Council, as I said last night in our work session, this is posted for possible action this evening if you so desire. Happy to open it for discussion now that you've had a day to think through all the information yesterday. Before I leave it to you for discussion, I think in my mind you have a handful of options here. And those would include doing nothing, which is just staying silent, not commenting. That would be somewhat out of the ordinary for where the council has been for the last decade, and actually the last 11 years on this issue. But it is an option. Also, you could remain neutral. You could state your neutrality to CTRMA in terms of the project. A potential option, although probably not a great one either. I think, you could obviously oppose the project as a whole. Again, that would be a departure from where the council's policy position has been in the past. I also do think, as we talked about last night, in my opinion, to oppose it at this point would probably do more harm than good, because I do think that we have made some significant progress with regard to a number of accommodations that have found their way into the current proposed plan based on our long-standing engagement and seat at the table on this issue. And that especially, I think, gained ground and gained some momentum when we were successful in bringing Westlake Hills kind of to the table and having a joint discussion with them as well as the chamber. I do think we got people's attention when we were able to accomplish that. So I do think, there's no plan that's going to make everyone happy, and there's no perfect plan, but I will say I do believe that we have made progress with CTRMA, and I do appreciate CTRMA's working with us over the last year especially. Your fourth option would be to support it, but I think there are two different versions of that. Obviously, there was just straight out, we support the plan as it is today. I also don't think that that's not where I am personally as it stands today. But another offshoot of that option in my mind would be to do essentially some version or the same version as where Westlake Hills is, and where the mayor of Westlake reported to us last night, and that is some level of conditional support with some additional things that would need to find their way into the plan to achieve that ultimate support. I think we could also add some additional information related to some of the comments that Tom Farrell made last night. I do think it is as well as Amy Patillo made these comments last night, to have at least a dialogue and put a marker down related to the SH45 gap project. I think that is worthy of some, at least a footnote or a notation in the letter as well. So in my mind, those are kind of your four options. As a reminder, the discussion as we had last night, the phase that we are in is the environmental assessment phase. So the comments, the quote-unquote comments that we would be submitting at this point are related to that phase. And so, to the extent we can, although we can probably make other points, we'll try to keep those comments somewhat aligned with the phase that the project is in currently. We did hear from Save Our Springs last night. My personal opinion there is that the role of our city government is not necessarily the same as the role of the Save Our Springs Alliance. Certainly respect their role and respect where they're coming from. In my opinion, from a governance standpoint, our job is to try to, I do believe that, and as Mayor Vaughn stated last night, I don't think it's a false assumption or the wrong way to approach it to assume that something will ultimately happen. And if you assume that something will ultimately happen, in my view, the best role of government and this small local government like ours is to try to guide that process to the best possible outcome, even though maybe not perfect, the best possible outcome for our constituents. So while I respect the role of other organizations in trying to put up different types of concerns or barriers to the process, I'm at least in my opinion, that's not necessarily where we need to come from. So, but that is a policy decision and one for this council to make, and I'll respect whatever you decide this evening. I will remind you that I believe the public comment period is open until May 3rd. And so I know there one comment last night was to don't make any decisions right now, just postpone any decisions. You certainly could do that, but if you wanted to make comment, if you do want to avail yourself out of 3 out of those 4 options that I mentioned, you will need to make some sort of action by May 3rd. Otherwise, you will be opting for the silence option. So.
Wasn't somebody trying to get the comment period extended?
I do think that is one thing that I think that they will try, and we're happy to monitor that. If you wanted to make some sort of decision this evening, contingent on, obviously if they postpone it or lengthen that comment period, you could leave us with instructions not to do anything until that's finalized. So I would be open to that. But absent that, some sort of extension, the time to comment is probably now. So.
Well, I absolutely think we should submit comments, but it would be nice to have some more time when we just got all of the packet information and have a little more time to try and digest some of it and understand it a little better.
Sure.
And also find out maybe what City of Austin is requesting on the EIS, request for the EIS, and the meeting next week, the open house that they're having, or town hall.
Yes, and we'll certainly monitor that, and Alan will keep you all informed as we find out, what the definitive plans are for those, if the comment period gets extended or if we find out more information on City of Austin. We'll try to update you as we get more of that information. I'll also say too, I did take a look at the draft letter that the City of Westlake Hills came up with. I think it's a very well crafted document. I think the mayor commented that there are a few typos, so it still has a little bit of cleanup to do. A few comments that I would make on that. I do appreciate very much, and I acknowledge the city of Westlake Hills. One of their contingent items that they put in their letter was a reference to noise mitigation, and that is fully because they're being good neighbors to us. They do. Let's be clear. They don't care about the noise mitigation. They are doing that to be respectful of our opinion. They know that that's something that we've always commented on, and I appreciate them being proactive in putting that into the letter that they're asking us to potentially sign on with them for. One addition to that, I do think in that section, I would probably request if your decision is to do some sort of joint engagement and comments with them, which I sort of like, to be honest with you, a joint letter with them. For one reason, we've done at this point both dozens of letters over the last 10 years. This would just be a nice change of pace. But I do think in that noise mitigation section, we would probably add some language to ensure that the visual depiction that CTRMA was good enough to provide to us yesterday related to the elevation of the lanes as you exit Mopac and come on to Bee Caves. We have that visual, that side view. As a reminder, in past iterations of this plan, those lanes were far more elevated, and they were elevated further north toward the lake, right? And so all of that has shifted down. The elevation is much less drastic than it was originally shown to us, and what remains elevated has shifted toward the intersection itself and further toward Spyglass. Those are two important aspects for Rolling Wood in particular, and I would think, in my mind, in addition to the noise mitigation, some language in that portion of the letter that references that visual depiction that we now have seen, remaining that way, and not having additional elevation from what we've seen at the time that we're making, these comments. So I would add that. I would try to craft some sort of acknowledgement of the SH-45 gap issue that Ms. Patillo and Mr. Farrell brought up last night. I think while it is not necessarily on point related to the environmental study of this project, I do think it is a good idea to put that on the record in some way. So I would suggest an addition of something related to that. And then the other thing related to the divergent diamond, the diverging diamond, in my opinion, is something that we could, or that I personally could stomach over time. The key aspect to that new intersection design, however, would be maintaining. They don't say dedicated for engineering reasons, but I will say dedicated. The dedicated north entrance into the express lane. So when you're coming through that diverging diamond, the way it is being at least considered as a potential proposal at this time is, in addition to that new design, we the western portion, those of us traveling west to east on Bee Cave Road, would at that intersection have a dedicated on-ramp to get to the north traveling express lanes. That is vitally important in order for us to maintain that northbound access point. Absent that, my support for the diverging diamond would be 50-50 at best. But if we get that plus the diverging diamond that will theoretically improve safety and flow through that intersection, those two things together, I think are the positives probably do outweigh the negatives. But as part of the letter, I want to make sure that that diverging diamond maintains that access point to those northbound lane. That is the way the letter is drafted now. I'll point that out to you, but I think that is a vitally important point for our constituents in this neck of the woods. So,
Okay, Gavin?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just- When you're discussing that, I just had a thought. Right now, there, with our entrance for the northbound lanes being on the other side of the river, there is time for the billboard, whatever you want to call it, that shows what the fee is for the tolls, because it changes all the time. If we have a, you know, you're right there on it, how are we gonna know what the fee is for the northbound lanes? Because it varies widely.
that would, I'm going to go off script here, but based on a number of other discussions we've had, that would be the type of additional comment and additional input that we would have when they get to the actual design phase.
Okay.
And there was another one that came up last night about will there be, when you're making the exit off of Mopac, will there be like some sort of barrier or some sort of, even if they're, you know, those white cones that they place, will there be something like that so that you have time to get up and get to speed to be able to exit and that was the same answer to that. Some of those types of things will truly fall in that design phase that we're just not to yet. But I think those would be the types of things that we would keep on the radar for a future engagement, future debate, or future discussion, and to bring up to them. So,
Procedural question.
Yes, ma'am.
If we postpone any action on this tonight, then it seems like we have to have a special meeting on this unless the deadline for comments is extended. Or do you-
possibly, I think, and bear
or
with
do
me,
you wanna
I'm going
have
to be,
authorization to,
in order to avoid that, I would try to maybe be a little bit more creative. And I think what I would try to do would be have you vote sort of up or down whether to do comments or not. So are we doing comments or are we not doing comments? And are the comments going to be combined with Westlake Hills or not? I think what I would do is try to get a policy position from you all this evening on those questions, and that will allow us to then work on either a joint letter or our own letter, or maybe our own letter that we would use in lieu of the joint letter if we can't sort of find good language there that we all agree on. But if we could get some sort of policy direction from you all as to whether you want to comment or not, and what is your preferred method of comment, and what is your sort of backup method of comment. If I could get a policy position from you all, then that will let us kind of do our work. And then Alan, once the policy decision is made, then Alan can, show you sort of final product that we would have with Westlake Hills, if assuming everything is good. Again, it would probably be based on the letter that you've already seen with some tweaks and a few of these additions or any other additions that you direct us to make. If we go through that process and we can't get to agreed to language with the City of Westlake Hills, then we would kind of go our own route. But assuming that your decision would be to do comment, assuming that your decision would be to do that jointly with them, we would endeavor to get that language right. I would already have your standing policy position, and then we could move forward before the 3rd with that. Having Alan shared the final product with you all, so you'd have sort of an individual, you would not be able to talk about it amongst yourselves, but if you have individual typos or anything that you see, then we could make some fine-tune, we could fine-tune and tweak the letter.
I definitely appreciate all the work that's gone into this, and particularly the ability to get the double-decker removed from consideration. It seems like that's gone.
Yes.
And getting the elevation down, I think that's a major concern for our community. I personally, it's just me, was having difficulty visualizing based on the things provided, and one thing that would be really helpful is showing the way it exists right now in relation to what they're proposing, when we're saying it'll probably be about so much higher. I don't know if there's any value in that, but it would help me know more, and the more we can, if there is room to push back on getting it down and getting it further towards Spyglass, even a little bit more, then, you know, that, I don't want to push so hard that the whole thing gets scuttled, but that is the major concern, and a lot of progress has been made on that already, and certainly incredibly appreciative of that.
No, I appreciate that. And we can look, and probably not right now, but happy to look at some of those cross sections with you after the meeting. I think this is my own gut feeling on it. I think we probably have pushed them about as far as we're going to get them on that issue, because that was our loudest and most vocal comment for years. And at least what we've been told is I think that the engineers feel like they have pushed it down and as low as they can do. Now, we could still continue to try to do that. I suspect that it's about as far as we're going to get them. But yeah, no, I respect where you're coming from on that. And I do agree with you. It is light years better than where it was. Which is also why I don't want to it's why I do think that it's important that we keep acknowledging that progress, and I don't want to just abandon some sort of positive comment. There are a few hanging things that I think can still be better. Again, I don't think it will ever be perfect, but I also don't want it to go in reverse. Is what I'm not concerned about, but it certainly is something that could happen. So, yes, ma'am.
I like the proposal. I like the notion that we mirror what Westlake has done to show that we're not just the city of Rollingwood, but it's also the Westlake community as well, and that I think strength in numbers helps quite a bit. And they have, their letter is we support with these conditions, and I think that helps ensure that the Divergent Diamond plan is as they've shown it, and I understand from an email I got today from the Westlake mayor that they are adding a paragraph to ask that or to recommend there be one last review of the cost-benefit analysis of this project. It's a recommendation, not a request, but I think that is good, both the way it's structured and to say, are you really sure you want from my understanding, that cost-benefit analysis includes a factor of the downtime and the disruption that will occur during the construction phase. And so their view on it is that using that formula, it may well be that the disruption is any benefit of this project is offset by the additional traffic from SH-45 plus the downtime and disruption. And so I think it may appeal to a Republican-led agency, to phrase it that way. And I think it's good public policy all the way around to say, look at this one more time.
Yeah.
Because lots of things have changed since that first analysis was done. So I would say I would support a letter that uses the same format and topics as the Westlake Hills letter, that also addresses the cost, makes a recommendation to take one last look at cost benefit. And I think in a way it won't let them use the agency can't say this is unconditional support, which I think is also important, not only for our Westlake Hill neighbors, but our Zilker Park neighbors and City of Austin neighbors. So that would be my recommendation, is that we follow that format.
Yeah, that's great news, and I agree. And the tightrope that you mentioned is the one that I think we're walking, and that we need to walk.
Yes, I think it's good public policy.
Right, and I like what
regardless of political.
Right, and I like what you've mentioned in that. You know, I think there are things that are truly contingent, but I think we have to stay cognizant of the phase of the project that we're in, and the comment period that we're in, and the type of comment period that we're in. But I think adding that type of language allows us to have maximum optionality down the road. So it's clear in its intent, but still clear in, some level of expectation that we're still not there, but we're trending the right direction, and we don't not take part in this part of the phase, which I think is important. So I would agree with that. And I'm happy to take a motion if you want to restate what you just said in the form of a motion.
Before we go there, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that we have a letter that mirrors Westlake Hills, or we have a joint letter with Westlake Hills?
I think we have a letter that mirrors Westlake Hills, and I don't know that it seems, if we have a few different points than they do, I can't see it as a joint, it'd be awkward to do it as a joint letter. But I think we can acknowledge their letter and say, these are the same points, and we're recommending the same conditional support, and we'd like you to look at these one or two other things, something like that.
And I'm good either way.
I'm good either way.
Yeah.
It just seems awkward if we have points different than Westlake for.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of was my point earlier. If we can get them all the same, because I do think they've got a lot of other good background information in their letter. So I also think, I think we could, if we can get to the same point on the language, I could foresee us doing a joint letterhead type thing, which I would be fine with, because I do think they've got other good stuff in the letter, and if we're just having to boil ours down to one page and then they've got 5 pages, it's a little bit shallow of me, but I think
if it can be done and it's a joint letter, that's fine with me.
So.
Yeah, I think if we can get there to where we have everything we want in there, I would prefer us to do a joint letter, just because, as their mayor said, I think there is strength in numbers, and rather than just, barraging them with multiple letters, I think one joint letter that says this is a large group population that all kind of feels this way, I think that would be helpful, perhaps. But I agree with Brooke that we don't, if we can't get there, then we have our own letter, that's fine too.
Okay. Kevin?
I agree with where this is going. I just want to highlight something Brooke said, and the mayor said earlier on, is that the SH-45 thing terrified me last night. Absolutely terrified me. And for our newer residents, when this becomes a reality, that trough traffic on Mopac is going to be hell. So the more we can do now, like you said, just getting it on the books, talking about it. So I give you permission to be as aggressive as you want to be on that topic.
All right.
Well, and it, the disruption this will cause, think about what your commute will be if you can't go through the Bee Caves Road Mopac intersection for 8 months. Or more.
Or 3 years.
3 to
Or
5
more.
years.
Or more. Plus, according to Bill Bunch, they're gonna not eliminate, but they're gonna preclude use of the hike and bike trail under the Mopac Bridge for the period of construction. Plus, I expect they'll use that land where people park under the Mopac today between us and Zilker Park for all
Staging
kinds
there,
of construction
staging there.
activity. It's gonna be awful. It is gonna be awful.
That parking lot is a big deal
Yeah.
for Austin High School. For the
Yeah.
kids to park there and walk across, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of problems.
So it's, I don't like the idea of this, especially if you can solve it by widening the lanes or, creating additional lanes south of 360. But I think the best way of getting them to look at that is the way that Westlake has recommended.
Okay.
I agree with the 45 gap needs to be more than a footnote, because that's a huge change in the character of the traffic on Mopac.
Yeah.
You start bringing in all those trucks going, fortunately, I don't have to do this commute anymore, but north on Mopac for 15 miles back and forth every day for years. And the small comfort in that was that there was not truck traffic on that stretch. It's like I-35, that's where all the trucks are. I didn't have to worry about those. And so changing that up with the connection to I-35 is huge, and they should not ignore that in their assessments.
Yeah. Good point. And so, to finish that, yes, we would add something like that to the letter. Happy to take public comment now.
Tom Farrell, 3223 Park Hills Drive. Again, it was a great summation, Mayor. I appreciate that very much. And I want to thank everybody you guys have done a wonderful job. I really thank Westlake Hills for stepping up as a good neighbor to help us on that, and they did. And we have to recognize that, and we should thank them for it, doing it. A couple points. One is this is the environmental assessment time. And so it's time for us to talk about and request the noise abatement, whether or not we have property adjacent to Mopac or not. If we just keep harping on that, I suspect that they'll find a way to get that done. One of the other points I wanted to make is when we talk about the 45 gap, one of the comments you're going to get back is, well, remember, trucks can't get on the Mopac toll road because they don't have that. But they will be able to get on 45 to get to Mopac to come back. So this is kind of a different project, and I understand that, but it has to be related, and we have to look at it related. And yes, it is fearful, I will just tell you. I just have a vision of what that's going to be, and that's when we start. When we started this, we had the problem of the double-decker on the lake. That's gone. Great. We've got the elevation down. I agree. It's probably is where we're going to be, however this happens. I would ask that we include in our letter that as part of the, and we could probably, the extension of that third lane past William Cannon on Mopac. And if any of us have gone to South Mopac to get to William Cannon, it goes from 3 lanes to 2, and there's a big swab of concrete that's left on that lane, and then there's a couple of gaps of grass between there and 45. Another lane could be put there fairly easily, I think. I'm not a traffic engineer, but I think it could. It's always tempting for me to go around that and get in that lane. I don't do it, but I think about it every time. But anyway, they're going to, again, the comment I think you're going to get back is that's not part of this project. It could be part of the project if it was mitigation for the construction delay that would occur during this project. And you say, okay, we're going to do that as a first to mitigate some of the construction delays that would occur while this construction on the Mopac toll road is being done. The South Toll Road is being done. And that would help get that done. I'll leave that to experts to get to that. But it's to me, that seems like a reasonable request for the city to make to help expedite this and not have as much problems as we go forward on it. Travis County has been adamant that they want an EIS rather than a special an environmental assessment. I think, and I think the mayor, Westlake, has agreed that that's something that we should ask for also on that. I don't know that he did in his
Yeah, I
letter.
think there, with some of the policy changes that have happened on the federal level, it seems like maybe the EIS is probably not all that it used to be. So
No. Went away.
Yeah.
Stroke of a pen. But still, I think that's something that they, given our proximity to the all the environmental and our drinking water that we have, that we all get our water from right now, from it's probably something we should consider to request. I don't know whether that'll have any stroke or not. I do appreciate the fact that we are approaching this the same way, that we are not opposed to this, but we do have some concerns, and they have addressed the concerns. And originally, one of the first things that I ever asked was, okay, what's in it for Rollingwood? Well, okay, now we have we do have something. Is it a lot? Is it offsetting the harm? I don't know. Will I ever figure out how to get through the Mopac and Bee Caves intersection? I'm not sure, but you know, I mean, I count the traffic lights that show up on that little diagram, and it seems, what is it, 10 lights that's sitting in there, and I'm thinking, oh Lord, hey, okay. But I do appreciate. I want to again reiterate that y'all's work have been great. This has been, we've made progress over, we haven't made over the last decade. It seems like it's longer. If you'd asked me, I would have said it's 20 years, but you know, but it's been 11, I guess. But I would say that the way we're approaching this is the correct way. I do think the importance of that, extending that lane past William Cannon, is something that at least should be looked at as a means to mitigate some of the traffic backup that'll occur during this construction on that. So, and I think that's maybe the way to approach it, as opposed to say, we want you to do this as a separate project, include it as mitigation for the construction delay.
Okay.
And I thank, again, everybody for working on this. I think it's been wonderful. I thank the commissioners at Travis County, City Council and Mayor of Westlake, and of course our mayor and administrator, and not least of all our friend Amy, who has worked so hard on this. So thank y'all all so much.
Thank you, Mayor Farrell. 1 second, Council. Okay, Council. Yeah, I'm happy to take any other comment.
Amy Patillo, 3 Rockaway Cove. So thank you again for holding the workshop last night, and I think it was great to see the number of different community members and entities that came and participated. I was taking a couple notes and thought I would make comment on a few things that were said just for your consideration. One of them is, I have heard the discussion about potential extension being requested. I haven't heard whether it's gaining traction. I do know that this time the public comment period is almost 2 months and a little bit longer than it has been in the past. So I don't know if that will impact whether an additional extension is given. But I would just throw that out there that I have heard the chatter about it, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So as y'all are thinking about the timing of the action that you might take, I don't have anything else to add, but usually I've heard, and I don't know. I appreciate y'all considering potentially mirroring the Westlake Hills letter, looking at the points that are in there. I have worked with Mayor Vaughn on understanding a lot of the concepts and ideas that are in there, and there is, as Gavin pointed to, some things that Westlake Hills has put in there specifically because they are issues that are important to Rollingwood and as a good neighbor. And so just really appreciate that. One of the things that I know Councilmember Brown and Mayor Massengill have alluded to is maybe additional notes in the Westlake Hills letter / Rollingwood letter. That I've seen some notes today that Mayor Vaughn has been working on related to the cost benefit analysis, which I haven't actually seen a full cost benefit analysis. I've seen analysis of potential traffic time savings, but not a full cost benefit analysis with the construction included. So that might be a little bit different, the way that it's being worded and what I've seen. It might be something that would provide more information. But the other thing I've seen with it is that it would include also now the ability to look at the feasibility study that was done on SH45 Gap and the information that's come from that about traffic impacts, to consider the two together. So that may be a way to consider incorporating the comments about SH45 Gap. So I think there's a lot of great stuff in there. There is a section in their letter about water quality, and I've also been on a call where Travis County staff were talking about analysis of the water quality mitigation with the current EA. And a few things I learned just to pass along to consider are that one of the challenges with water mitigation in this project is that the project goes basically line to line within the available easements that are there, and it is difficult to do water mitigation when you don't have more property available to do it. So what's being proposed are jellyfish, which I've had to go and
I Googled it.
Yeah. Some of the things I would just say that I heard from Travis County staff were that the jellyfish are something that Travis County has looked at in the past. The cost of maintenance and the reality of maintenance has made them move away from using jellyfish in spaces where there's less area available. So the question of water mitigation is one that is going to potentially come up, and it's either something that the council could comment on now, and if it's something that's important, or look at it in a different phase. But there's at least a small note in the Westlake Hills letter about it. Not to play devil's advocate, but one thing I would note about where we are with elevations is Rollingwood has opposed both the double-decker plan and the one that has finally been landed on in the past, which is the wishbone configuration. My understanding is, as Mayor Massengill has shared it, that the elevations of the wishbones have been pushed back, and we now have been provided with drawings that show that are part of the packet from yesterday. So really appreciate that. I would also say that if cost benefit is something that is considered an important value to look at, Rollingwood has supported an alternative that has been studied throughout this project that doesn't require any elevated lanes, that didn't require elevated lanes over Lady Bird Lake, didn't require the wishbone configuration, just simply has the ingress and egress to the toll lanes in the middle of the highway, similar to what's on Mopac North. And the cost of building those ramps that are going to be the wishbone configuration is going to add to the cost of the project. So I feel like I just want to mark that here, because it has been something that has been part of the policy of the previous councils to look at.
In that it would be consistent.
And yes, and one of the factors that was listed is here's something that you're adding to this project that we're not exactly sure what the cost benefit is of these elevations, and they're going to be expensive. And there's an alternative that doesn't require them. So I would just put that out there to have marked it. And the only other thing I would mark is if the proposed BK Road intersection isn't done, where there isn't a northbound toll lane access point added at BK Road, then both northbound access to the toll lanes and southbound access to the toll lanes will be something that requires taking alternative routes that will add some time onto people's travel and will take people on routes that go by schools. Either Austin High to loop-de-loop or exiting at before 360 and taking Tamron and Walsh Charlton, which goes by 2 schools. And so the choice that's being made right now in the proposal that CTRMA has had out for many years now to change the current ingress and egress from the toll lane points that exist right now, that like people have built their businesses and homes and commuting routes around those changing. The proposed intersection would solve, at least for Bee Cave Road traffic, half of that, but it doesn't solve the other half. And in the past, it's also been viewed as potentially kind of creating a bypass to our business district in the western side of Travis County. So those are just some things to consider. I really appreciate the work that's been done, and in the phase that we're in, which is the EA, but it's also the draft EA, which means most likely where we will go next is the final EA, which will go to TxDOT, and there won't be a whole lot of design changes happening after that. From if the project progresses the way that most roadways do at that point. And so this is kind of, I would say, having commented on this project a lot of times, I sense that this is the last time to get changes. It's kind of now or not, or this is what gets built. So that's what I would say. So I do have that mindset of, I think we need to be focused on how do we get to the best that we can get to. It doesn't change things I wish could be different. And personally, I'll be commenting on some other things that I haven't said here, but I think as a city, getting to our best with the position that we're in is a great goal. So I really appreciate y'all's work on it.
Thank you, Amy, for your work on it, and for always letting me call to have you explain things to me. So couldn't do it without you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, council. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? Happy to take a motion, see where that goes, and then we'll talk about next steps.
Well,
You'd want to do a motion in pieces?
Yeah, I think a motion in pieces. Let's answer the question as to whether you want to comment or not. Well, that's some low-hanging fruit.
I move we comment.
You have a motion that we submit comments to CTRMA on this phase of the South Mopac project by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Ms. Hudson. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. There be 5 ayes, no nays. Motion carries. Okay, we've answered that question. Now, do you want to try to do a joint letter, and then if we're not successful in coming to something that Westlake Hills can, so again, to restate, we would work on language, all of the language that we've talked about this evening. If we're successful in coming up with joint language that they can agree to and that we could theoretically agree to based on comments and discussion, we would, in my vision would be that we do a joint letterhead masthead. If we can't come up with language that the Westlake Hills agrees to, then the fallback would be we'll do something very similar, but a separate letter, so they can do theirs, we can do ours. But my first, if somebody could give me a motion to give me authority and the staff authority to approach Westlake Hills to do a joint letter. Let's do that.
I would move that we approach the Westlake Hills, give the mayor and staff authority to approach Westlake Hills with the objective of coming up with a joint letter. And alternatively, if we can't agree on all points, that those points that we've addressed tonight that are important to Rollingwood be stated separately in an additional part of a letter, or in the most appropriate way the mayor and staff find at the time, based on what agreements we can come to with Westlake.
That's an even better solution. So we will do a joint letter with them on everything that we can agree to. If there's some stuff that they don't want in their letter, then we'll peel out and do a separate addendum letter. Okay. That is the motion by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Ms. Brown, a second by Mr. McDuffie. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, council, and we'll share the final product with you before we hit send. So if you have any final, oh my God, don't send that. You can weigh in to Alan at that time. Okay, thank you for your work, council, and your discussion on this important topic. Moving off of agenda item number 10 onto agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action to create a separate off-leash dog area in Rollingwood Park. An oldie but a goodie. I believe this is Councilman Glasheen's agenda item. I'll recognize Councilman Glasheen.
Thank you. And I'll just kind of open this up briefly and outline what I think the questions are that we need to be addressing to go forward or not go forward. And then I'd like to hear from Melissa Morrow, of course, from the Parks Commission, who's done great work on this over many, many meetings, and everybody on the Parks Commission has worked hard. Everybody that's participated in the process has worked hard. There's been great contributions from the community, and especially from Alex Robinette. I appreciate all the work that you've done on all this. And it's been a very positive process, in my opinion. It's, I will say personally, I'm skeptical of bureaucratic processes and like to just get things done, but it's been actually a good process in that I think it's improved the product and has really been successful at getting community input. So I really commend the Parks Commission for the work they've done on it, and thanks for Kevin Shelf for going to all those meetings too. So as everybody knows, this has been a contentious issue in the community for a long time. I personally feel like the community has called upon us to separate the off-leash dog area from the ballparks. And it's an important issue to a lot of people that feel strongly about it. You can agree or disagree, but you can't, say that they don't feel strongly about it, and it may or may not be a majority of the community, but I don't think that matters. I think it's that we have to consider all parts of the community, and the tyranny of majority rule shouldn't just be the only rule we follow. I think we should respect the views of those people who feel strongly about the need to have a separate off-leash dog area. So I'd like to try to encourage everybody to do that as we consider these questions. I'll tell you that Parks Commission has forwarded basically 4 options up to us, and they're in the packet as A, B, and C, and then D is kind of a modified do nothing, and I'll get to that. Really, to me, the big contentious question is whether to divide the use and how to divide it, and I was hoping that we could kind of discuss that at this meeting and vote on that at the next meeting in May before everybody's gone for the summer, so that we get that issue behind us, get it settled for the community of whether to divide the 3, 4, and 5 into a separate off-leash dog area in baseball or not. And if so, how to divide it. There's a couple of options, several options. So I think we should really try to answer that question as a priority step in the process, and I'd like to have that done in May. If we can possibly do that, and I don't see any reason why we can't, and I think it's realistic given all the work that's been done. The other consideration is that Parks Commission had done a lot of good work before this separate off-leash area had come up on a parking lot. And at the last council meeting, I think we all expressed support for that parking lot plan. I think it's really well designed. It's a good plan. There's some remaining questions about what kind of surface it would be, whether it would be a grid system that holds gravel or concrete or asphalt. And I don't think we need to get into that now. But in order to move forward with the issue, because I'll tell you one thing that happened at Parks Commission is that Victoria Johnson brought up a good point and said, you know, if we want to move forward with a parking lot and we want to incorporate the north parking lot into fields 3, 4, and 5, that we should go ahead and get that process moving forward, even if we can't decide necessarily on whether to divide that combined space for a separate off-leash dog area, or let it be used as one big combined space, or how to divide it. Those are questions that we can answer a little bit later. And by a little bit later, I'm saying May, okay? but because I don't want to kick this can down the road. I want to get it done. But what I guess I'm saying is, if we can get some guidance tonight, at least on moving forward with the combining the north parking area with the field, then all that dirt work and heavy equipment work that's going to be done for the parking lot that also needs to be done for the north parking area to convert it to grass, we could start the planning process and get our project manager, it's Robert, am I remembering his name correctly, working on that. And then he'll have something, he can come back to us hopefully at our May council meeting and kind of tell us the status of that, give us some recommendations on things like the surface material to use, which route to go. He's got cost estimates already on those things, but I don't want to consider those they're not even posted for tonight, but I think it's a step in the process of what we're doing. It could be coordinated and could run on a parallel track so that we could actually go forward with that parking lot and dirt work plan for the north parking lot at our May council meeting. And of course also include the sprinkler system in the scope of that project. So I would like to put all of that on the agenda for May so that it's properly posted so that we could take action for all of those items if possible. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Melissa if she doesn't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Glasheen. Happy to take comment from our Park Commission.
Sure. So we had a really good park design meeting last Thursday, which included one council member, Kevin Schell, 2 RCDC members, Brian Ryder and Bobby Hempling, and then 3 Parks Commission members, Victoria, Sean Downing, and myself. During that time, because we're trying to move this all 3 groups in parallel as much as possible, both in terms of communication and sort of getting a general head nod, not anybody freaking out and saying no way. With that, and Kurt Arnett, who's here with us, if we have any questions on the design of the off-leash areas, we basically had versions A, B, and C, which are in your packet, and D, we used to call do nothing, and there obviously still is a do nothing, but actually the D is really a opportunity to transform the smaller parking lot north of ball fields 3, 4, and 5 into a green space. So, and go ahead and do the excavation work, soil, sod, and possibly do the irrigation for that area. And in that design, basically, if you looked at any of your A, B, and C, and you have a fence line that goes along the trail, that line, that would stay. Basically, in D, all that would go away is the middle line, the one that decides whether it's 0.5, 0.55, 0.6. So if you could think of it that way, that would achieve a little bit of this great lawn concept. It might also avail us to put in nicer fencing that's more beautiful, like some of the renderings that Kurt has done for us before, and just create a larger space without disrupting the ball field's size right now. One thing that I know one of the things that we heard over and over again from at all of these meetings was the lack of input from Western Hills Little League. Steve Frank from the girls softball has been at almost every single meeting and has been really helpful in just talking about what their needs are. But girls softball is a much smaller program than what Western Hills Little League has. Western Hills Little League, I know they're in the middle of season. They have both their president and they have a person they've assigned to come to these meetings. And we would love to hear from them more. But without that information, I just wanted to let you know that I had done my own sort of calculations. As many of you know, I work at WEA, so scheduling fields is something that I do all day long and look at. And so one of the things I think it's important to remember when we talk about the different sizes of if we were to go ahead and move forward with one of the choices of A, B, or C, is that right now, Western Hills Little League has the largest sign up that they've had in many, many years. They had over 1,000 kids sign up. Given that, I took the schedule that they have given the city and how many hours of scheduled time they're using those fields, and I basically broke it down by each field so you can see between fields 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 how many hours a week they use it. A field, if you were just to look at how many hours a youth field could be used during the hours that they normally use it, which is basically, because we don't have lights here at Rollingwood, between 4 and 7 p.m. On any given field in any given week, between the weekdays when you have school and the weekends when you have more full, I even took off not starting any games until noon on Sunday, which is pretty much how they run their schedules. You have 33 potential hours to use on any given field. Right now, Field 1 only uses 23 and a half hours. Field 2 uses 16 hours. Field 3, 8 hours. Field 4, 13 hours. And Field 5, 11 hours. If you took just the fields 3, 4, and 5, it's less than 32 hours, which is less than you would need. So in essence, what I'm saying is we could get away with having just 3 fields. 4 fields gives us extra places to move people around and have more, maybe the best times. Also, you have to remember that basically girls softball is using fields 2 and 3, and boys Little League is using fields 1, 4, and 5. 4 and 5 are the ones that get the least amount of use. Actually, field 3 as well. It only has 8 hours because the girls softball only has about 90 total participants. So I know that was a lot of numbers. I can definitely give you the little sheet that tells you that in more detail. But I feel comfortable that any of the options that we're exploring, we'd still be able to accommodate the amount of baseball and softball that we currently have.
Great, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Questions for Melissa?
And I just want to add on that, if I may, on the Western Hills Little League. I've met with Jay Weintraub from Western Hills Little League, in person and talked to him on the phone, and encouraged them to participate and give us feedback. And the response that I've gotten is that their position was that this is a Rollingwood matter and they didn't want to get in the middle of it, but are grateful for the opportunity to use the fields, and they understand that we're also respect their use of the fields and that we welcome them and we want to make the fields as nice as we can for them too, and make sure that whatever we do is functional for them. I also emailed him again a week ago and sent him all of the options that we're going to be discussing, and strongly encouraged them to weigh in on it if they want to, or let us know if they don't want to weigh in on it. And I know that Kevin Shell's made an outreach as well, which I'll let him report, which I appreciate, because we all want to make sure we've given everybody a chance to weigh in on all of this.
I do want to say these 2 projects you have some advantage to do them at the same time. I also want to say that it has taken at least 10 years for us to even have a really great, civil, wonderful, respectful conversation about creating a separate area. And I would be remiss if we didn't really try at least to really explore it sincerely amongst each other, because a lot of time and effort has gone into the designs as well as just thinking and talking about it. What I'm really excited about is that it feels like the parking lot is I don't want to say it's a done deal, but it's the least controversial of the whole thing. And so if nothing else, I feel like we're going to get a really great, safer parking lot and more green space. And if we get to go ahead and create an off-leash area that is a size that everyone feels good about, that would be amazing. It'd really show that we were, unlike the rest of the country, we can come together and deal with hard decisions together. So that's, I know Lori and Alex are both here tonight also if they have something they want to add to the conversation, but we'd love to move this forward because I don't know if y'all remember, but when I first laid out the timeline, we'd already be starting today. So I told you, I knew that was really aggressive.
Silly.
But it was just like we can dream to do this faster than, we have to. And I'd hate to see, I know Mary Elizabeth will kill me if we go another fall without planting those trees. So let's see if we can't, in the next 2 months. Yep, go ahead.
Talk about what, if you were to do the work on what is now the north parking lot, what are you gonna do about the trail?
So the trail is basically, you can see in the designs, it will stay basically where it is. It'll still be
Well,
there.
what I mean is, the current trail would be disrupted.
It
So would this, do you contemplate that this work on the north field would include reestablishing
Oh, yeah.
the new trail?
Yeah, the trail above almost anything else in the park is like number one, because everyone can use it. And so we would for sure prioritize making sure that walking trail was back in,
That
as
needs
quickly
to
as
be-
possible. Top priority.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
easiest
would
to
agree.
accomplish, so.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Yes.
butterfly garden was the top.
The butterfly
Well,
garden.
that-
Mary Elizabeth has been very flexible about reestablishing it somewhere else. So just, let's go with that.
What?
Yeah. She said even though she's put all her time in it, she actually said the walking trail was her very favorite thing. So,
She put all my time.
yeah, there you go.
So that would mean, I'm just trying to think through, because I haven't seen anything that actually talked about this alternative of just addressing the north parking lot. So I'm getting up to speed on that. The north parking area.
And to clarify, if you look at A, B, or C, any one of them, and you just remove that fence that divides the space, that's option D.
Yeah.
So
But-
it would just enlarge 3, 4, and 5.
Just the only thing you'd remove is that.
That part I understand, but the verbal, all I have is the verbal, and I don't know, with the, that's why I asked the question about the trail, because it's gonna take out the current trail and move it. So,
Yeah, all the plans do.
I understand that, but I didn't know whether this Plan D, what would be done under Plan D with respect to the trail? Would that be reestablished? That's what I was saying, is that gonna be reestablished along with the new sod and area?
Yeah,
Yes.
Plan D is exactly the same as A,
At the
B, and
same
C.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, Plan D is exactly the same as A, B, and C, except the only thing different is that there'd be no fence dividing
The two.
the combined area.
Well, I think you just call it what it is. There's no off-leash dog area anymore.
The whole purpose of this was to create.
Well, it stays the same, that it stays as a shared space of, that's right.
And
A,
we'll
B, and C
decide
gives you-
that
yeah.
we'll vote on that next month. And there are other options that, in fact, I've talked to Sean Downing about today, of the idea of even putting a removable fence in there for the separate off-leash dog area, so that during the 3 months of baseball season, it could keep the dogs off the ball fields. But those are all things that we can decide next month, but they're to be talked about tonight, so.
Well, all I know is whenever you all decide what you want to do, we'll get it built. But I'd like to say that I am especially fired up about this East Park entry thing that Alex drew, and
It's real nice.
and
Could someone
I'm
walk
ready.
us through that?
I'm ready to do that.
Because,
That's just at that. It's in that the turn in, And I don't mean to get us drawn off. I was just commenting. Thank you for drawing that. And I actually, Council, you'll recognize, we actually did there was a similar drawing for around the corner last budget cycle. And I don't think you should get distracted with that, but you may see that come before you in the budgeting process. You don't need to worry about it for this project, but I would plan on maybe bringing an exceptional item for your consideration so that when you do make a decision on the dog park, we can also do this shortly after it's over. So anyway, but thank you, Alex, for that. I really like that.
Well, that is part of the parking lot plan.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that's not posted for tonight, although we had requested that be posted for tonight. So we were sad when it was not on there.
Oh, is that? I've only seen it from a top view. Is that what? That's what that looks like from the.
What are we talking about right now?
Yes.
Great question.
This handout there's in front
Which
of you.
page?
The front page. The keep flipping.
Second and
then it
last.
looks like
It's the,
It's in there
yeah,
twice.
that's it.
Yeah.
This page?
Yes.
Yes. What I didn't realize until moments ago is that's what
Yep.
this is, just from the curb view. So,
Yeah.
well, it's great. Looks even better from the curb.
Yeah. It is.
Okay, so to be clear, so you're asking, there's no action to be taken tonight.
No action to be taken tonight, but I think that we should see if we can get any guidance about at least, getting Robert to keep going down the road of preparing, doing what needs to be done to study the requirements of this project. For example, there's questions about what's TCEQ going to require. I know that certain council members are going to want to talk about drainage at some point, and I think we should get Robert teed up on that. And also to, review the cost estimates and be prepared to present to us some detail about that project so that if we do vote to go forward, we haven't lost another month of work on it.
Yes, so I will note that Nikki's been in contact with the city engineer, and the city engineer is looking at that as we speak.
Sure.
Probably not as we speak, but they are working on it.
And I think we'll
Which
probably,
engineering firm?
Lochner.
which is the new K-Free, changed name.
K-Freeze, AKA Lochner, yeah.
And I think we'll probably continue to have maybe another working group meeting between now and then. I think it's been great to have RCDC and Council on Parks working together so that one of us doesn't get out ahead of the other, that we don't know what's going on with each other. And I think that's been a good process. We'll probably have another one of those meetings perhaps.
Okay.
And I also,
One second. Yep. Go ahead.
so I took us down the drainage path because it's gonna add to, and this council wants to talk about those issues, we always do. And then also just, it'll give us a complete picture on the total cost of this thing if we have to build something else as part of it. So it's just unavoidable, and I wanted to, in the spirit of moving things faster, I wanted to do that in parallel. So I appreciate Alan taking up the banner for that and working, and Nikki to go track down to help them give us answers. Also comment about this week I met with the president of Western Little League and one of his other board members and I can reiterate what Kevin's been saying for months about their position. They shared that it's our park. We decide we do it, that they have, at least with us now, how to use it. If we have something that we've agreed to that we want to move forward with, they're glad to talk with us and figure out ways to make it work. So everything's consistent with what Kevin said. I will just add that what I kind of learned was, Jay, the president, they've just been through a lot with Rollingwood. It's been political over the years. I think he changed his tune a little bit when I said, we actually have money this time that we can put to this. And that kind of changed the tone of the conversation, to be receptive about making improvements they went with. But they were clear about not participating because they just don't want to get involved with us. And I've reiterated the problems our community has with that, and our volunteers have wanted to hear from them and wanted them to engage with them. And he gets it, he understood it. He's a little bit, from their perspective, they signed a contract, they knew what they were getting into with this issue, and it's working. And if they're unproven, it'd be great. But bring it something to them. They'll talk when there's something to talk about, but they don't want to waste time with what we've done. And that was more of a historical statement than anything else. So it doesn't prevent us from, going forward. If we want to go forward on the decision, I think that they'll work with us. So.
Okay. Great. Shanti?
Unless there's any park commission members.
I think we've heard from everyone.
Well, as is my usual, I dug through my history. I can't but do it. I can't help it. I mean, we've had a long history from the time we purchased the park. Looks like we've spent $1 million on everything that I can add up until now in improving our park. From the time we spent $245,000 to buy it. Okay, of course there was a lawsuit and we spent $367,000 on it. That's a separate issue. But having said that, I have mixed emotions about how our park is getting divided into 0.5, 0.55, 0.6. I mean, it feels so condescending to us, the larger population of Rollingwood, who really own this park, not just with our tax money and the $129,000 we spend on park maintenance every year. That's what I looked up on the budget, or it's there. We are more invested in this park than we are getting credit to be expressing some real opinions once these 3 plans are in place. I'm glad I'm not on the council trying to decide between 0.5, 0.55, 0.6. You're always going to upset somebody or the other on this matter, okay? I know you've come a long way. This may not be, I don't want to go backwards, but I just want you all to be able to talk to the people that bring their dogs there. Because I remember in 2021, when there was a similar park plan, which would have cost $259,000. I have all this material here from then, but it didn't happen, luckily, because it was supposed to be on the slopes. Never mind, that's done. And about 200 households wanted to not let their access to this 1 acre park go away. They've stuck with all the points of, don't go there when the games are going on. They've maintained everything. They've cleaned up everything. And again, I really don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have a dog, but I'm all for my people, my neighbors who have dogs, to enjoy this facility because it's ours as a community. So I feel like that population has not really had a say this time around, is my thought. I haven't seen anything after these plans came through. So before you all take a decision, final decision, because I feel like 0.6 after having 1 acre, it's so, I mean, I can't imagine with people and dogs how that's going to be not a very overpopulated area, I just think we need to look at that one more time. I know you're taking a decision in May. There's time between now and then. Please reach out to people. I know many of you go to the park with your dogs. Please reach out to them and have them comment or give their inputs. No petition. Last time there was a petition, and 20% of our voting population wanted that park. And I bet you the same number of people are still wanting the bigger park. So, just wanting you all to know how much I love our park. And, if I had a dog, I'd be even more, talking more. So, I just wanted you all to know that. Please involve the people that own dogs who use that area and get their honest inputs before you all take a final decision.
Thank you, Shanti.
Okay?
Thank you, Shanti.
And if I may respond briefly, I did send out an email asking for people to put in input, and it went out to 500 households, or 500 people get my email. And then I posted it on the chats as well, with asking people to either show up or send an email. And I've gotten a number of emails that I forwarded to the administration, And a lot of those came in too late to be part of tonight's packet, but we're gonna have the collection of all of that input by the May meeting. And I'll be reminding people again before the May meeting to send an email or show up. But an email is easy to do, and it is a good way to give input, because there's a lot of nuanced input. You know, in those emails, it's not just like a vote 0.5, 0.6 or anything. It's like, you know, should we divide it, and do you have a comment on any of these plans? And you get some interesting insights. So thank you for that, Shante. I agree with you.
And I'll add to that too, that I'm glad we're doing this in spring, because I've spent a lot of time in the park visiting with people the last couple of months, dog owners and people, the Little League people, and people just going up to the park to hang out. They all have good feedback, and so they're provided in person. We've encouraged them to come talk, and I keep telling them, give us that feedback, give us that feedback. So I'm a little disappointed. I shouldn't be, but I'm disappointed there's not more people here tonight to give us that feedback. But yeah, we're trying.
And I think that's partly a reflection of the fact that I think we've built some trust with the community through the process. And there's been a lot of input through the Park Commission process, and I just have to say again, you know, the good leadership that Melissa's brought to that process.
Okay. Do you want
Tom Farrell, 3223 Park Hills Drive. Just two quick comments. One is I wanted to remind us, we really don't want to call this an off-leash dog park, because it's going to be on Google and that's going to be open to everybody. Right. So I think we'd be wise by now using some other type of word that we're going to use rather than just this off-leash dog park as we go through this, because we're going to be a lot of people that are not Rollingwood residents are going to come in and use this if we're not careful on that. The other thing is, I wanted to tell you, one of the things I'd originally said is Rollingwood made a commitment when we bought this park. We made it to our community, we made it to the Little League, and we made it to the Optimus Club that we were going to use it for this. And at that time, I'd asked that we work closely with the Little League and try to see that, and I do appreciate the fact that we've made every effort. It's apparent that you can only do what you can do, and we're there. I apologize to Melissa. I have not been at the Park Commission, but the only thing that I had as a comment on watching the three proposals is, it seems like to me that there's just a small triangle that is basically outside of the usable area of both these two fields. And if it's possible to be able to swap some land and make that, it's a little odd, and I agreed with that, but if it's possible, well, this would be the baseball range that would come in on this, and then on the other field, the same thing. So if that little area, this is just on this one, could be swapped with that, I think that would show that you have two basic fields. I think there's no question in my mind right now that we're headed towards a separate a separate area. I won't say dog leash, I don't want to start that. But I do appreciate the way that we're going about this, and I think it's been an open process, and I think it's been something that has been, that, you know, when this started, if you'd asked me, I would say, no, we don't want a dog area on that. But I mean, listening to the people that did it, and Jenny came in and said, this is the only place I can go to talk to my adult friends that's not a bar. I went, okay. And I remembered that one of our goals in Rollingwood has always been to develop a community spirit that we have on this, and this is part of the community spirit that we have on that. And so, you know, as long as we could, if we could kind of move that around to where that little triangle was out of there, I think you've got two fields that you could use 100% and make that happen. I don't know if that'll. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, this is the arc that they
Oh,
use
I
for,
see.
and this is the arc that uses for this ball field.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's the standards that's used. I'd have to ask Melissa, she's more experienced about that. But that's, if that could be moved around a bit and, can do that. Most of the kids that are using this for T-ball are not gonna hit it out of that range, but that's, you know, who knows? We may have a Rollingwood, star coming up on that, so, anyway. But I do appreciate the fact that, the fact of how we've gone about this and look at it, and I know that it's not gonna be, it's not a easy process, but the two things are, one, I appreciate that we have reached out to the Little League, and two, don't call it a dog park. Thank you.
Agreed. Thanks, Tom. Sure. And while you're coming up, I do have a hand raised that, before I saw your hand raised, but you get on deck. But I'm going to recognize, Arun, would you like to make a comment?
Sure, I'll make a brief public comment. Right now? Okay. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person. Casey and I were having dinner together, and Casey, I think, just got back and got on as well. But I think I'm Arun Natesan, 4917 Timberline Drive. And I just wanted to say that I think that the process has been great. I think Melissa and everyone has put so much time and effort into it, and it's really kind of it's been great to see how much consensus building has been happening. I, like, as an avid user of the dog park, obviously I would be sad to see like a lot of it go away or like the dog park area be smaller, but I think that at this point there are solutions that kind of everyone can coalesce around as well. So I want to say that the process has been really good.
Awesome. Thank you for that comment. Nice to hear. It has not always been that has not always been the comment. Amy, will you come on up?
Yes, thank you. Amy Patillo, 3 Rockaway Cove. So the questions that you posed, Councilmember Glasheen, I was sitting here listening, and I thought I would just respond in person rather than by email because I'm here.
Yeah.
The question of should we divide it, I would say yes. When I was on the council and we voted to have an off-leash dog policy that allowed dogs to be off-leash in that area, it was a few people in Rollingwood taking their dogs. It has really changed since then. And as it was changing, I was someone who was advocating for trying to keep up with the change. And it was really difficult to get that done. I'm so appreciative of the people who are working on it right now in time and all of the work that's being done. And it really encourages me to see the different conversations that are happening and the different work that's being done to put together options. So if I were looking at it, I would vote for option A with Tom's comment about trying to keep the little triangle. In general, my value, having looked at this and spent time talking with Little League and girls softball over the years, is in looking at our community and what we've supported in that park, I would be for maintaining as much of the park as field space as possible that supports girls having opportunities to play sports. That's my personal value. And I really appreciate Melissa being here and providing the information about the number of people who've signed up and whether configuration A would support the programs being able to continue. I hadn't heard that part of the information yet. And I think that's a really, really important part of the data in making this decision is girls softball always has had lower enrollments. And at one point in time, I asked the question of, could we just have girls softball here? If there's all these other fields around that support boys, and this is literally the only place that girls can play softball in our area, then why not really focus on supporting girls having this access? And what I found out is financially the girls softball team needs to be connected with the Little League in order to be able to support both programs. And so I think as a community, us valuing girls having the opportunity to play sports and continuing to value that and continuing to provide the space is a really important function of this community, and I would be for it. So I would just say thank you for the time that's been spent. It isn't easy. There are a lot of different viewpoints, and I hope that a compromise here would keep a separate dog park from the field spaces, and I appreciate y'all's consideration.
Amy, you'll be glad to know that girls softball is gonna have an all-star team.
So which one's option one?
Hey,
You know-
Casey, you might want to mute your microphone.
Until you're ready to.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment, council? Any questions, comments?
One thing, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
Well, I just have a question on the options that have been provided, because none of them include the trail going between the fields and the off-leash area, and I have significant concerns with that design, and I didn't know why that was not listed as or shown as an option.
Think of it as a future option. So we were kind of putting in what we could all agree on, and essentially what happened was we didn't want to give up space. We wanted to maximize the sports space and the dog park space. And if we started putting a trail and trees and landscaping in there, we felt like we would be losing and also committing, especially because the original design had trees in that area, is really committing to not a big open space. And so we did say that if what we find in the future is there's people that need a trail there or trees, then that would be a future phase. But for now, just to keep it simple, we would not have a trail that goes through there.
Because to me, it makes more sense to have a trail that goes through there and not have the trail that goes around at the back end.
Because
So
people
that-
wanted to maximize the trail. That was just keeping the longest trail possible.
Make another
That's
loop.
what I could get. That's
Like,
that's
just
what
make
I
another
could.
loop,
It's
you know?
boring.
That's what I could
Well,
get
yeah.
the Parks Commission to have consensus on, was to have a longer trail.
And it was something we didn't think we had to resolve now in order to move forward, that something that could be decided as we go through the next process. Because we were worried that if you get into too many details, like tree placements, for example, at this stage, that it prevents us from dealing with the first major issues that need to be decided.
Well, my concern is that this design has conflict points on every inch of the circumference of the dog
Has
area.
what?
Conflict points.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, you have trail around 3 sides of it, and you are putting the dogs right up against the fence where the little kids are playing.
So actually, if you kind of look at where the lines are, I imagine during practices and games, between the off-leash area or the green space, you'll most likely have parents sitting there. That will sort of be the buffer between those two spaces. Because the fields are both sort of offset from that area. Like your, what do you call it, the backstop. Your backstop would be basically behind that, and then parents would be kind of in between those areas.
I'm not
For the
sure what
softball
you're.
field. For the softball field, but not for the baseball field. There's not gonna be anybody sitting over there by the baseball field.
Okay, so basically, so if this is the off-leash area and we have a fence right here, basically you're most likely to have, this is like where your bleachers are, oops, sorry. You do continue to have a pretty big space. And from Kevin, and the girls softball does have slightly older girls who are utilizing, this than the boys do. Most of the boys are barely even getting it out of this zone, so for this area, I don't think you're ever gonna have a kid really that's gonna be even coming close to this area. For the kids that Western Hills Lily have, the this way. And so again, I think you're not gonna have the play that the girls are gonna have, they're not gonna come up to this fence over here, if that makes sense. That's part of why originally, I think we even had the boys, or we had it flip-flopped, or we had the boys down there, and so this actually was thought out in that way to kind of address not having the kids running up to this fence.
And Melissa, why don't you point out the, triangle that Tom was talking about?
This is the triangle Tom was talking about, and I think I've already seen Kurt making adaptations to this line, on some of his drawings, to just grab that space, so that if we do the 0.5, that we would keep that space, I mean, that, we could make it
Well,
like this.
Could you show
Well,
how
and-
Melissa,
and-
you should also mention how many reiterations we have, has gone through.
Kurt has done more than
30.
his fair share. 15. We
So
said
we have
for-
got through a lot of this.
Can-
We've gone through a lot
Can,
of
can I make a point?
Yeah.
So on those arc lines that we're talking about, that you were talking about, that create the triangle, Tom, those arc lines, as if I understand it, and Kurt can tell us, I think were somewhat arbitrarily placed, just to show an arc from home base, because as Melissa pointed out, the boys, and I was told this by Jay Weintraub himself, told me the boys can't hit the ball past the baseline. So that arc that goes all the way and overlaps into the girls' softball field is a very arbitrary arc that doesn't mean anything, and there is no standard for the size of a baseball field.
When I looked at that, I thought, okay, well, this is where you would have as a standard line.
Yeah, but there's no standard.
Yeah,
And really our concern was to make it adequate for reasonable use, and that's what, because we don't want to try to come up with consensus on a plan that isn't going to work for baseball. So, and that's why there were so many iterations and so much, really a lot of thought and effort and discussion and committee work and compromise has been put into this. And this is why I was so glad that we had this kind of joint working together where Kevin Shell was there through the whole process and I was there through the whole process, because we heard over several meetings, for example, the discussion of the trail that you mentioned, Ms. Hudson. So, because we added it in at one point and then it came out at the next meeting and decided to, defer it to a later decision.
That's useful, thank you.
I would like to see the workability of the
I
.6
definitely
and
recommend council members, if you have a chance, to go on a Saturday during game day and see sort of what the space looks like, and then also look on a practice night, because it's very different. The game day, and it's really just, for a few hours, there are not just a lot of people here, but, one of the other things that we've talked about through this process is not only having some rules for the off-leash area and how many people can come in and sort of some guidelines, but also that in the future, really our agreement with Western Hills Little League and the girls softball should be that, you guys can have as many practices as you think you can accommodate, but on game day, 3 fields is really the max that we're able to accommodate in terms of parking safely and having people there. And that's what I've seen up there lately, is they'll have 3 games going, and I'm telling you, it is a lot of bodies up there, and it's a lot of then overflow to our playground into our lower park. So I'd say really on those days, you're seeing the maximum of what you would wanna have in your park, period.
And one more point is that we're seeing on this drawing the existing fence between the girls, big softball field and then, the other 2 fields. But we've talked about taking that chain link out and making it a removable fence that is only put up during maybe girls softball season, so that you do have more of the great lawn effect, where that is a big, wider open area for the community to use for most of the year. And the folks from softball said that would be fine. And I think that really changes the character of that big open
And
space.
the removable fence would be the dark green line?
No, the outfield of field 2.
This red line right here.
Show me.
She's
because-
pointing at
showing
it.
it. She's
pointing
showing
to
She's
it up there.
pointing.
This red line right here.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
So if
existing
you go
fence.
out to Lake Travis in their, county fields, they have these removable fences already.
Yeah.
Cause they do their fields between, baseball and soccer pretty regularly.
When I spoke to because I didn't say this, I also spoke with girls softball last week as well. One of the things they brought up was they liked the movable fences in other facilities that they used, and that would be something that they would be open to.
Why did they like it?
Because they can configure it differently for practices versus games.
Okay.
Little League said the same thing, and they said Hill Country did the best if we were.
I can't hear. I'm sorry.
She said Hill, yeah, come on up.
Laurie Mills, Rollingwood Drive. When I spoke with Jay, he also said, or maybe it was Will, he also said Hill Country had the best removable fences, and if we were going to go that route, to go ahead and go out there and look at those as the standard.
Good to know. Okay.
Ask one more question.
Sure.
So just to visualize, you can see it on paper. It makes no sense to me. On the field, is it possible to lay down some tape or some kind of visual to see how much that 0.6 is going to look like? Is that possible?
Sure. Can be.
You know how the
chalked or-
police tape or something.
We
Something.
could chalk it.
I don't want to paint on. I mean,
No, it goes and washes away in the rain.
oh, okay. Something like that to visualize, because a lot of times you see it on a flat piece of paper, then you go out there. I know the piece is flat there, but we've been through this before. Seen, oh, there's all this place for a park, and it's not. You know what I mean? So for my own sanity, I'd like to see if you can draw a line. I mean, the 0.5, 0.55, 0.6 may not make much difference when you just put that line there. I guess not, you know, but some kind of a visual to see for both those lines actually. Or maybe that line is already there, right?
Yeah,
The
it's a
orange
fence.
one.
The red one, yeah.
This one's already there.
That's yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
already-
So if you put that
that's a
one,
fence, and these fences already exist.
Yeah.
This red fence already exists.
okay,
So you have to just come, all you do
right?
is come.
Just that one, if
It-
that's
it is
possible.
it is possible. It's hard to visualize because again, remember that's all parking lot right now.
Uh-huh,
It looks
yes.
very different with
Yes.
the fences down.
I understand that. I mean, I walk that area a lot, so I can visualize that. But just to see what that line is going to be like, if that's possible. I guess Kurt can do that. You know?
Well, there are some dash lines on here, and they show you what's there. And so that's one way to go out there and look and see. You can kind of
I'm sorry.
see some of the fence lines and things that are there.
Yeah.
So that's one way to kind of get a visual, and the trees that are there. If you just wanted to look at it by yourself, but
And I'll go walk out there with you.
Would
and
you?
just- Yeah. go
Yeah,
walk
or
out, yeah.
put that line in so more people know. Where
Not
is it?
mine, but I'll
You know, I mean, when you say this fence is going there, that fence is coming here, it's a lot. I mean, you guys have gone through it so many times. You got it in your sleep, probably, you know. But for me, I would, and I know many others
Yeah, we'll
would too.
just walk out there.
Okay, or put some line anyway. Whatever. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, at the risk of asking one last time, is there any other questions or comments, thoughts? We'll work with you, Councilman Glasheen, and get things reposted in its entirety for next month. Happy to include whatever we want to for some decisions next month. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, I'm going to derail this just for a second.
Sure.
I think what Kevin and I kind of want to get all together is if council has questions that they would like us to consider over the next 30 days, we'd really like to hear it now. We don't debate it, but we'd like to come in May with having a robust
Something baked, yeah.
conversation. So if there's some switches we can, obviously you can answer more, you can ask questions as long as you want. But if there's anything tonight you'd like to share, or if you'd rather do it privately, I'd love to hear it. Well, I can't do that, never mind.
Okay.
Give me 1 minute. please.
Sure. was it? All right. Okay, thank you, council. Thank you, everyone, for being here and thank you, Melissa. Thank you, everyone, Kirk, for being here. And with that, we will move off of agenda item number 11, move on to agenda.
I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been given a handout, executive summary, permeable parking solutions. Where does this come from, and if I have questions, who do I talk to?
You can talk to me. That's basically, we're not talking about the parking lot tonight, but that was one of the, if we're doing asphalt,
So it's from you, it's from
It's from Rachel Tice, I believe, developed it with Alex. Yes.
Yeah, it'd be helpful when we get a document put on our desk that had some
Fair,
attribution
yeah.
to.
Fair enough. We'll try to.
Alex called it in this afternoon and now it's on there.
Okay.
And you will talk about it at the park commission? Okay. And then this paper, this is from you.
It's from Alex.
That's from Alex.
Okay, the pictures?
That's the pictures are from Alex.
Okay.
She wanted to make sure people had a visual.
And these are,
It's the gravel paved, so you can
it's
see
different options for gravel pave, okay.
and what the entrance area would look like.
Okay.
And I would assume we'll try to post that for next, and apologies for not getting that posted correctly, but we'll try to post that as well for next month.
And we'll certainly discuss it next month about the choice between gravel, concrete, and asphalt, and that's a question that's outstanding on the parking lot. And maybe we can resolve it next month, but it may get bumped a little bit so that we can answer the tougher questions first and get this thing moving. Because I think that can get filled in. It's gonna take more than 30 days to get this project going. And I think we're gonna want Robert to help us, our project manager, because he's got engineering background and he knows how to do these cost estimates, and he can address things like drainage requirements, drainage benefits, and alternative costs. He's already done some cost estimates on this that we've already gotten, but we're not trying to get into that tonight, but we'll get into it briefly next month and then probably vote on that issue, I would guess, later, like in June, on which surface material to use. Because it's going to be a big discussion all by itself.
And I think it's just really important, as you said, that we're trying to let's make decisions on if we're going forward with something while the public's still here, and then work out the gnarly details over the summer that no one's going to care about.
Yeah.
Well, I say that. No one's going to publicly care about that much. So next month's a big month, but details will get figured out later.
Okay. Okay, moving off of agenda item number 11 on to agenda item number 12. Discussion.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on awarding or rejecting bids received for the request or proposal issued for the 2026 water rate study. Council, you'll recall this is an RFP that we put out a couple of months ago, or we talked about it a couple of months ago. I'll turn it over to Alan to walk through the responses to that RFP that we got and maybe some thoughts on next steps.
So Mayor and Council, as you recall, this is something that we had budgeted for in the 2025-2026 budget for this fiscal year.
Inflation has gotten the best of us, also in the water rate study category.
Yes, the city had optimistically budgeted $5,000 for a water rate study. As directed by council, we went out for an RFP and we received 3 responses. Each of the responses are in the packet in their entirety for you to review. The 3 came in, one from Endeavor Utility Solutions at just short of $25,000. The most expensive one, LSPS Solutions, was just north of $68,000. So they're a lot more expensive than we expected.
In my defense, from a budgeting standpoint,
You don't need
the
to
last
defend
time we did this, it was around, I didn't make up that number. The last time we did it, it was around 5,000. Now, granted, that's been a number of years ago, but we just have kind of carried that number forward year to year, keeping it on the books and on the budget. But because we hadn't been out for bid, it had gone up significantly since the last time we did it. Anyway, go ahead, Alan.
That might be what the rest of what I had to say. It has gone up. You know, I think that the cost of things are gone up, and obviously the cost proposals, if you've had a chance to look through them, they're quite lengthy. They do involve quite a lot of interaction with the firms and not just city staff, but also the utility commission and city council, which I feel is appropriate. But of course, that helps drive the cost of the whole thing up there. So.
My thought would be that you reject the bids for now, and that we're about to be back into budgeting season, and we will get to this line item on the budget. And my thought would be, let us take a look at the two budgets, and we will up that for you all. Yes, ma'am.
I read through the all three packages. The Endeavor, which is the $25,000 one, the lowest cost, if I were to have written a proposal myself for a water rate study, that's the way I would have done it. I mean, to do a cost study, if this were my client and I was hiring an expert, I think they did an excellent job and tailored to, I thought it was very well tailored to the city of Rollingwood.
Agreed.
In terms of the cost, the $25,000 is probably, if the study's done good, you know, if the product's good, and I assume they would be, and we need to check the references, but that's going to last us 4 or 5 years. So you're really paying $5,000 for the next 5 years, or to get us to the point where we have an appropriate rate structure for water. We collect today 1.2 million in revenues. We have 1.7 million in expenses. We've just finished a water rate project, so we have good numbers for the capital, the value of the assets we currently have in place. We're funding those through property tax, basically. If you have a proper water rate study, part of that cost, up to all of that capitalized cost, can be recovered through rates, as opposed to property tax, which will become more important as there are more limits on property tax. Plus, you have the ability to recover that capital cost in part through rates to commercial users that aren't property owners, and that's appropriate. So I think for $25,000, if we get to a good footing with a rate structure that will go forward for at least probably, 8 or 10 years or more, I think we're in a good place. Plus we also have the cost of water, the cost of the raw water will likely go up, and the cost of treatment will likely go up. So I think it's a good time to do this kind of in-depth study. And really, after I read their proposal, the other two, one of them comes at it, you can tell from the proposal, they're basically a construction firm that does water engineering and capital projects as opposed to rate studies. And the other was just a lot more rate study than we need. But I thought the Endeavor proposal was very good. I thought their response was very good and tailored, and if the references, I'm not surprised by the cost if they give us what they say they're going to give us.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
First of all, thanks for studying all that. That's really helpful, and I thought those were really good comments. A couple of questions. I thought we bought bulk treated water. We're not buying raw water and treating it, right?
Well,
Correct.
but the cost of treatment will be separate from the.
Right.
They charge us treatment costs separate
They charge us for treatment.
I don't know if it's separate, but
Okay.
it's.
No, it's part of the cost.
It's like 8
Cost.
cents per thousand is our bulk rate or something.
Yeah.
It is expensive. It did bump up slightly this
Yeah.
year. Austin changed the rates, but that's about right. Yes.
Okay. And then my other question was, if we want to change our water rates, we can't just do that, can we? We have to do a rate case like with the PUC, or do we
We
just
can-
get to set them by ordinance?
We can do it by ordinance, and you only go to the PUC, I think there's a protest.
There's a protest process.
Oh.
There's a
protest.
protest.
And so, as you guys know, because I've mentioned it, I'm in the apartment business, and one of the things you don't want to do is raise the rents all at once, like every 5 years. You want to do it a little bit every year, and so I assume we would try to factor that in so we don't, the frogs don't jump out of the water when we start raising rates
And that's something that gets evaluated
in the
in this
study.
process, yes.
They would make recommendations on all that.
Yes, and give us, estimates on what a capital budget would be for.
And if we're running a deficiency of 500,000 between our expenses and our revenue, which is what I thought I heard you say, like
Yes.
1.2 to 1.7, we ought to be able to make that up with a rate increase and maybe even do better, because that doesn't even account for the capital expense, like you mentioned, recovering that or amortizing that. And so it seems to me like $25,000 is well spent. We'd get a big return on it, and maybe we should just go ahead and do it now. I know you mentioned waiting for the budget, but I'd be in favor of moving forward based on Councilmember Brown's, analysis and the information you guys have brought us.
Yeah, and we're fine with that. We were actually over here just looking. If you recall, we several years ago started carrying a reserve balance in both of our enterprise funds, and so we do budget for that reserve now. So we were just looking. We have. I wanted to make sure that you knew that you had the options here, since it was more than what we thought it would be. But if the will of the council is to move forward with it, we can easily bring you a budget amendment, and we have the money for it. Is my point. So if that's the will of the council, we're happy to bring a budget amendment to go ahead and fund it.
How would do we have access to the previous rate study that was done, and how is the finished product of this going to differ from that? Because I don't think the properties have really changed, so the aspects of evaluating the properties, and we know the water rates may have changed, it seems like we ought to be able to extrapolate just perhaps from the previous rate study that we had, and not need to do a new rate study, and just.
I don't know the answer to that offhand. It was before I sat in this seat. Sarah, do you remember what year we did that? Yeah, I was on council, but I think I was fresh, so I'm thinking it was 2017, I'm thinking 2017.
Well, we did a wastewater study
Yeah, we've done both of them.
later. The water study,
It was the first, and then
Right.
we did wastewater.
But what will change is the usage
Right.
and usage patterns.
I do think since we're now on the electronic meters, it probably will be substantively different, and just because we do have more data to work with and more definitive data.
A lot
But
of new houses.
yeah,
That's true.
More swimming pools.
That's true.
A lot of new houses.
I think we did give a cursory look for that information, and I'm not sure we were able to locate it.
No, that's true.
It
The
was-
sizes have changed significantly on the.
I love what you're thinking about it. So I was kind of thinking the same thing, but this doing the real study and getting it really done with everything changed, this also helps with all the, when we go for bonds and other issues, and just being in a grown-up city isn't doing, versus us doing a homegrown version of this. So I think it's
we've
Money-
had
money
assist,
well
we've
spent
had,
for
we've
all
had
reasons.
assistance with it. It was not ever homegrown.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if we were gonna go look at something like
Oh,
do it
yeah,
ourselves, like
to
that,
go off of that old one,
right,
yeah,
so
I
I'm just,
understand.
given everything's changed, let's do it right and move on.
How much would you charge us for?
And I would
Depends
want
on
to
the usage.
have staff check references
Well, that one is a new firm, and he's in Indiana.
Well, but most of that can be done by Zoom. You know, that bothered me at the beginning, but then when I read through the proposal, I thought, well, they'll probably do the meetings by Zoom.
I'm just thinking that water use is very different in.
I'm sorry?
I'm just thinking that water usage patterns are very different in Central Texas than they are in Indiana.
Did they have?
I think it's just one guy.
You just.
I think it's just him.
I think that's right, but.
But I do remember the last firm that we went to was just her, because I remember thinking that.
Trying to get
wastewater,
to,
and that was a problem.
I was trying to get to the recommendation, the references that were here. One of their customers is Sherryland Utilities, which is a pretty big Texas utility. Or that's his previous experience was with Sherryland Utilities. Regulatory and analytical roles supporting rate cases and financial planning. So that would be Texas in his personal experience. And then I'm looking at the I get the idea that he was worked with water utilities and has now gone out into consulting.
Right.
Well, before we hire somebody,
We need to check references.
check the references.
Yeah.
Do you? I think Ms. Patillo had something. Did I sense your move as?
Yeah, I
okay.
was gonna ask to make one comment.
Sure.
Amy Patillo, Rockaway Cove. Having sat on the council during one of the water rate studies, and I can't remember what year it was, and then also the wastewater one. I do remember the differences. I will just say that one of the things that I remember thinking after we did them was it might have been helpful to have the consultant come and first discuss with the council the range of types of policies that could be set in a water rate study, and to get the council to give direction on that first. Because what I remember happening was a study that was done by a consultant with a lot of assumptions baked in that were kind of best practices according to that consultant, but were really policy decisions. And then
It did take us down a rabbit trail.
it did.
Yeah.
And then once the utility commission started looking at it and trying to then address what were actually policy decisions, it really changed the structure. And when we ended up voting, we actually didn't use, what I recall from the water is I don't think we even used the consultant's recommendation. I think the council set policies in the meeting, like based on the utility commission having kind of whittled down some numbers. But I'll just say that what I remember from the whole process is it seemed flipped. And it seemed like if there's a range of policies that might be used as the assumptions when calculating particular water rates, having the council know what those are and giving advice early would be better. That's basically
Wise
it.
counsel. Thank you.
I don't know if it's possible here, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, this is, if
No.
you look at page 81, the first task includes that kind of policy, confirmation
81
of
in which- in
expectations
which
and
document?
policy
On the-
priorities.
No, you can't look there, you have to look at the PDF.
And then if you look at,
They don't have all this stuff in there. I know it's a pain.
Okay, got it.
The cost allocation and rate design task 5, that's where you make the policy decisions about rate classes and what priority you want to give to what factors.
Well, council, do you want us to maybe check references? Do you want to narrow it down to 1 or 2 and us check references and then come back? How do you want to proceed?
Well, I do think we need to check references, but to Amy Patillo's point, I think perhaps even before we try to head down this road, we have discussions as to what what our policies are going to be, and try to define that, and what will we be trying to accomplish with this rate study, and ultimately with the rates that we're going to move forward and try to adopt. We haven't even had that discussion. We don't have consensus among this council as to.
I think that's better guided by whoever we hire as the first order of business instead of kind of it's the last order of business, which I think was the problem before. And then if we just start with that, with whatever consultant we use, that will be okay, if I understood correctly.
Okay.
Kind of start with the policy decisions or options and give some guidance to the consultant as they do the rate study work, give them policy guidance from the beginning. Is that what you're kind of suggesting? Sorry.
Well, I think both of y'all have proposed 2 different timelines for getting it done at the start. I'm not sure that I could give advice on which one, but earlier would be better. I think.
I was just, my concern I was expressing is that a consultant's not gonna show up and do a bunch of work for us and help us make policy decisions unless we retain them. That's all I'm saying. So we hire them and then.
Well,
I think what Phil
if-
is suggesting is that we have the discussion without the consultant first.
That's what I was suggesting, is that we
Right.
get some kind of consensus among this council as to what our policy will be and what we're trying to accomplish with this before we try to fit that to a consultant.
That's not a
Because
bad
some
idea.
of the things, like the taxes versus the rates, over the years, we have intentionally put, I don't know, not everybody was here when the sewer was put in, but we had huge cost on the sewer that was just on your bill every month, $125 for the sewer every month, and we intentionally put that onto the taxes, because on the taxes, it's tax deductible, right? But if you're paying it in your utility bill, it's not tax deductible. So there were decisions that were made like that on where you're getting your money, where you're getting your funds, and things that are like infrastructure.
Yes, it is a decision.
Right.
Yes.
Well, in infrastructure is like your roads and everything else. We don't charge for that based on your usage. We charge that on the taxes. So the usage should cover the actual cost, the variable costs, right? The cost of the water itself should be covered in the rates. But we have put the fixed costs on the taxes instead. So it's things like that we need to decide how we want to handle that.
So I think all of these are great discussions to have with a water rate analyst. Do y'all want to hire one, or do you not want to hire one?
I'd ask this question. Are you happy with any of these proposals, Sarah?
I think, well, there's one of them that was talking about doing all kinds of demographic studies and what everybody's income was and all that stuff, and it's like, pretty sure we don't need to do that here. And that was, I was trying to find it, it must have been the highest rate one.
Well, are you happy with any of them?
I looked at them, they were higher than I was expecting. But I do think it's important, I don't know if everybody looks at the city administrator's report. and we have our top 10 water use numbers on there this month, and the highest residential water use for March was 125,000 gallons of water. So I think it's really important that we adjust our billing tiers, because that's crazy high number. I just can't even fathom how you can use that much water
Well,
in a
should
month.
we go
but-
out and get more bids, or is there any, that's the question right now.
Yeah,
Right.
Do we wanna get more bids?
I think we sent it far and wide, did we not?
Yes, we sent it far and wide. I mean, the cost of republishing is nominal if we want to use the same template. I know that $5,000 is not much. I have a colleague I used to work with who's a city administrator near San Antonio. He laughed when I said we budgeted $5,000 and said they'll walk in to take the check and leave. So I think it is the cost. I think it just changed dramatically in the past several years since the city has done this. So I'm not sure we'd necessarily get different results, but I'm happy to take direction from council on how to proceed.
Did we have the budget number in the RFP?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so
we never
it's
put.
not that people didn't submit something because they went, oh, this is not worth my time.
No.
Okay.
I'd be inclined to make a motion that we authorize the mayor and administration to check references, and if they confirm, to go forward and hire Endeavor for the proposed $25,000 approximate price.
You have a motion by Mr. Glasheen. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Mr. Glasheen, a second by Mr. Shell. Happy to do that. We will call. Yeah, we'll call Endeavor's folks and see what kind of feedback we get. We might even also call maybe at least some of the Wilden references. We'll call the Endeavor references. Let's see what we get on that, and then we'll bring it back to you. How's that?
And I can
Talk to Sherry.
go to my utility colleagues and get some references of companies also, but
Okay.
And we can invite them if that's legal. We can invite them to submit a proposal. But there are a number of people who do this
Yeah, I think
kind
we
of work
could.
and
That'd
do
be
well.
great. Yeah. We did it. So. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry?
It's a professional service, so there's no
Okay.
state procurement requirements associated with it.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have any others, that's great. In the meantime, we'll call and do some checking on Endeavor.
Okay.
So you don't need a motion for that?
Yeah, not really. If we're gonna bring it back to you all, you want to withdraw your motion?
Sure.
Motion's withdrawn.
I'm saving it though.
I got it.
Next time.
No problem. Okay, moving off of agenda. So you're good. So we'll report back on that. Moving off agenda item number 12 onto agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action on council recommendations related to the City Hall improvement project. Just wanted to have a placeholder each month for us to take some baby steps every month on this project. It took us several extra days to put together kind of the RFP that we had talked about last month. Since we were close enough to posting for this council meeting, we wanted to put it on your agenda. Let you take a look at it in case you had any comments on the RFP for the project manager. We did get some comments. We also sent this to both Duke and Alex and George Scott, I believe, as well. Folks on our advisory, our unofficial advisory, architectural advisory council, just to see if they had any comments. So we're kind of in the unofficial comment collecting phase on the RFP. If you have any deep thoughts on it, get with Alan. But we do plan on putting this out, and we'll have hopefully some responses by next month on this one too for you. So that's really all.
It's an RFP to do what now?
This is to request
For project manager.
for the
The
project
project manager,
manager.
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
And that RFP is posted in your packet. So if you have any thoughts on that, get back with Alan.
Did you ask ESD if they had did they have somebody that they worked with on their other projects that they might recommend?
Who did
Travis
what?
County. Because they built other firehouses and done this other shared project, if they had someone.
I believe we did ask ESD9, but I'll follow back up to see. Yes, ma'am.
I was looking at the questions that are on the agenda item summary sheet. Should we raise the facility, change the location, footprint change, multiple stories? And it seems to me that before you can get to those questions, or we can get to those questions, we need to, I would like to have a sit down, like a workshop session to go through the space requirement list.
Okay.
Because I think until we know that, till we have a handle on where we are on total space, we can't answer those questions intelligently.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I did go, I meant to
7
make 10
bathrooms in
copies of this, but I did go on the Travis County Appraisal District. We've got the lot that this building sits on is a little more than an acre. It actually goes almost to the field house in this direction. Oh, thank you. That's not to say we have to use that or not, but I think once we get a handle on how much space we're trying to plan for, then we can
Answer some of those.
begin to, will it fit here?
Mhm.
Can we get the space here? Can we not?
I think it's also helpful if you go back and look at the 2018 City Hall assessment.
Yeah, speak into your mic. Yeah.
Sorry, I think it was it 2018, the last time that they did the City Hall needs assessment?
I believe that was 2018. Yeah.
I believe that document had some of what you're talking about in there, which is, it's just an interesting read to see.
I've read it back then.
Yeah. But I think a work group meeting, and my thought would be to, and we don't have to answer any of those questions. We can kind of wait to have the professionals help us weigh in on those issues. My thought was if we can give them a little bit of direction so that, similar to the conversation we just had on the rate study, I think we can have some of those really basic questions answered.
Can I get my original back? Oh.
If we can answer some of
Sorry.
those real basic questions, then I think it probably saves us some time on both the project management side, and the architectural side, the site planning side. So we don't have to answer any of those questions, but the easier, the lower hanging fruit that we can sort of check the boxes on. But I agree with you. We can sit down and kind of go line by line through the needs assessment. too.
Well, she said field house,
What-
but I think she means
What other questions are you talking about?
Just the real basic ones, like from a policy perspective, are we like, I don't want to hire a project manager or an architect, and then they come back and say, we think you should tear the whole thing down and start from scratch. Like, there are some really
We need
basic,
some
some
conceptual-
real basic things that I think we can say, hey, we don't want you to, don't start there. We want you to keep what we have and add to it. That's just sort of an up or down. Some really low-hanging fruit like that, I think we can answer some of those questions so that at least whoever we hire from a project management standpoint, a site planning standpoint, an architectural standpoint, at least they have a little bit to go on when they get started, is
Yeah.
my thought.
Well, but I think we need to have a handle on how much space.
Yeah, well, we can do that.
First.
Yep.
And one thing I did note, just an easy one to pull off of there, the Public Works yard is included
Yeah,
in the total.
in the
for
total square footage, yeah.
square
I
footage,
noticed that
so
when we
that
did it too, yeah.
doesn't need to be in there.
And do we have paving? I haven't gone back through the space needs. Does it include how many parking spaces we need?
I believe we didn't we put that in? I think we did.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I believe it.
is.
Yeah.
It's in there, okay. But I think we should have when time permits, a sit down and
Talk
through it.
Yeah, and what we'd probably do is we could talk to each one of the department heads and we can just kind of have that dialogue. Those are the conversations, and that's how we got to that list to begin with, but we can kind of go back and, especially with.
But we haven't heard that.
I know. But especially like with Chief, she can kind of talk through what are those spaces
Yeah.
and why do they need them and that sort of thing.
I think the rest of council needs to hear it.
When would you like to do that?
It might it might be helpful for a project manager to hear that dialogue.
And to guide the discussion.
Right. So,
And I do think we need to address a bunch of preliminary questions, but they can help us identify
what are
those.
the right? I don't know what to. I came up with three
I'll
that
I'll
were
just-
easy.
I'll
So.
just tell you, even though my instinct is always to preserve what we have, every time I've done it, it always turns out that it's cheaper and better in the long run to scrape everything and start over. I'm just telling you, that's the way it turns out, even though I'm at heart a preservationist and like to keep stuff. But it's just the way it goes.
That's the type of. That's why I want to answer those really easy questions, because if that's where a design professional, like if that's not where this council is, but that's where I don't want that design
Right.
professional to come back to us and tell us to do that, and then we head off down a rabbit trail like, well, that's not what we want to do. Like, let's just tell them that from day one. So, okay.
Why don't you go by Hajar Peters?
Yes.
At what stage is the public going to be able to give inputs, listen to what's happening? I mean, y'all have a committee with Duke Garwood and I guess, I don't know what's
Yeah, my
going
thought
on.
would be probably, I mean, obviously, anyone can weigh in at any point along the way, but my thought would be it's probably most useful after we get a project manager, we get an architectural firm in hand, we start getting some suggestions back to them. I think that's probably the point that it would be most useful to start having that.
So
kind
right
of
now,
thing.
y'all don't have any visuals of anything?
We don't have anything like that. no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a feel for whatever is in the
Don't even really
packet.
have not even a feel.
Oh, not even a feel.
Not even a feel.
Okay.
We can show you MOPAC.
What?
We got drawings for MOPAC.
No, I had some feedback I got from going to the Westlake City for the candidate forum the other day
Right.
from somebody who's on a P&Z there, and I want to communicate that to y'all because it's an essential something that they've realized after the fact, so to say. And so we don't want to be just copying everything that they did,
Yeah.
even if we thought
No, that's
everything
kind of
was
why
hunky-dory,
I said it to them directly.
Yeah.
I like that they're a little bit ahead of us because
Yeah.
we can ask them, hey, what do you not like that
Yeah.
you would have done different?
Yeah.
So, and we did get some of that comment in our tour
Yes.
as well. So.
Yeah, but when they start working in that building, then they find out, I wish, yeah.
Wish we had a plug over there.
or I wish this was different. you
Yeah.
know. So it helps to have some feedback from not just them, but maybe even some of the other cities that have recently built new,
Totally agree.
Yeah, but let's keep our homegrown feel to this. That's what's so special about our
Agreed.
building. And I look forward to coming to some meetings.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, and I'll save my comment.
But do be thinking about. So we'll let us get this RFP out. If you have any thoughts on the RFP, let us know pretty quickly. But we'll try to get that out and get some folks coming back.
The only thing I'll say is, Round Rock gets a lot of money, hotel tax money from the Kalahari Resort. And they have built a beautiful city complex in downtown Round Rock that has the city hall, and you cross the street, and there's this pavilion and the art center that's going to have an original Picasso exhibit in a month or two because they have so much money, and the public library, and a nice, beautiful plaza connecting all of them. But it's very, very simple. The style of it's very simply done and very engaging.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there are lots of places that are going to make us real jealous.
Are you suggesting we build a water park?
I thought you said a hotel.
I thought a
Well,
hotel.
we'd have the
Kalahari.
elevation.
Yeah.
We could put it down. the
She's
hill at
just
Hatley.
straight for the Picasso. Yeah, she just wants to go straight for the Picasso.
It's a beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful space, but it's simple, and it's, they've done it where it's very engaging to the public, and you can use it a lot of different ways, including this outdoor semi-covered
It's across from
area.
Kalahari.
No, it's in downtown Round Rock.
Oh, okay.
So
Like
they had
amazing.
to, find space within the center. It's about a block from Round Rock Donuts.
Okay.
It's the revenue from Kalahari.
I'll go.
But it's a revenue from
Yeah.
Kalahari that let him build this beautiful art center and plaza.
Yeah, well, I'll stop by there in my next trip up
Trip to
35,
the
yeah.
donut shop.
Yeah.
It's just a block away.
Okay, with that, we'll move off of agenda item number 13, move on to agenda item number 14. Consideration and possible action to move the date of the May City Council regular meeting. This is embarrassingly for me, Representative Glasheen's agenda item, because I assume the reason he put it on here is because he noticed, before I noticed, that the next council meeting is on graduation night for Westlake High School. I don't know if that's why you put it on.
I put on there because I heard that somebody was going to be out of town.
Somebody was gonna be out of town.
Well, there's if you heard that somebody was me, then it was correct, and if it was somebody else, then I too am going to be out of pocket on the 20th. So happy to get your thoughts.
I was just concerned that if we're going to try to vote on all this park stuff, that we should try to have it when everyone's around. For
Yeah.
sure.
My thoughts would be, so I think my suggestion would be to keep it on Wednesdays. I think that's the easiest thing. So if you don't do the 20th, you have the 13th or the 27th to choose from.
I am out both the 20th and the 27th.
Okay.
And I couldn't, I'm gonna be in the UK, so I won't be able to do it by Zoom.
How about the 13th?
The 13th
The 13th works for me.
works for me.
Works for me.
That's fine. We can do that.
Seems like the appropriate number.
We may not have an attorney available, but we'll work on that. We'll work through that. Okay, so so I'm happy to take a motion if you want to move it to the 13th.
So moved.
You have a motion to move the next regularly scheduled council meeting to the 13th of May by Mr. Glasheen. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion by Mr. Glasheen, a second by Ms. Brown. Sorry. Further discussion, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Being 5 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Will you redo the calendar invites? Okay. And with that, we will complete the regular agenda and move to executive session on agenda items number 15 and number 16. Executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding regulation of access to Almerian Way. As 16, executive session pursuant to Local Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding Marcy v. City of Rollingwood, and we will move to executive session at 9:53 p.m. Okay, City Council will reconvene in regular session at 10:25 PM. There was no action taken in executive session. And with that, council, I think it concludes our work for the evening, and I'm happy to take a motion.
Move to adjourn.
You have a motion to adjourn by Ms. Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. I think 5 ayes, no nays. Motion carries.